You probably just don't answer the voice. It's in your head so loud it's a noise. Screaming you're a boy in the boys. Or maybe you're a girl in the girls. Chocolate, vanilla, or swirl. Whatever makes your toes curl. You never see the curve in the world. 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 Why does your right to hate outweigh my right to love? Like you prefer gloves, so I can't wear mittens. Your need to fit in quickens my sand. Your stand is a sinking sensation. Your situation should not affect me. Your fantasy is really just that. Until there are facts, let's just call it fiction. A twisted description, the epic tradition of judgments repugnant, and not the depiction of a good Christian's mission statement. And the strategic replacement of pedophile priest is also the least of the sheep's many words. Their eyes are too blurry, crying about sanctity. They should be thankfully handing out praise. Gay guys raise a straight guy's flag. They basically brag for you, making your 2 look like an 8. It's great. Why would their plate affect your diet? Try it if you think it does. If you think because someone is gay, your marriage now sucks, you might want to play a little more safe in the way you condemn. Them may live in your mirror. If you think the gay is a choice, you probably just don't answer the voice. It's in your head so loud it's a noise. Screaming you're a boy in the boys. Or maybe you're a girl in the girls. Chocolate, vanilla, or swirl. Whatever makes your toes curl. You never see the curve in the world. 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 Projecting your fear towards your secret desire, you're simply a liar whose fire runs deep. You only compete with yourself. Your stealth is seen on radar. Gaydar is usually true, which is why through and through, if you don't like dudes, they refuse to pursue. You're safe. You should see my face as I say that. I feel like Pat Sajak as I watch the wheel spin. So sick of the playback saying love is a sin. To me, it's a win. I wish I was gay. 2 morning roads to begin every day. No one to say, I'm not in the mood.
Welcome, everybody, to IronRealmMedia's Flat Earth Friday FRINGE-CAST. My name is Josh Corey, and TGIF. Thank God this MFR is flat, and thank God I'm done with work. It's a long week, and I am happy to be done with it, and happy to be here with all of you fine people. Why don't you all give yourselves a real quick introduction?
Rob.
John.
Jace.
Moving on.
Uncle Walt.
Was that quick enough? Was that quick enough for you, Josh?
No.
Well, I've not finished. Then Adam. There you go.
All right. Next week, I want some Van Trapp family introductions.
You could
So,
sing it.
Full house
There
again.
we go. Another full house. This is like 4 weeks in a row. I'm really digging it. I love it.
Getting in the groove.
Boys are back in town, you see. That's fine.
What,
Indeed.
So what's
what
happening this
Walt,
week?
Walt, you sound a little tired. Are you just waking up?
Yeah. Not too long ago. Yes, I woke up a little late. Couldn't sleep after the excitement of our show this morning with Justin Harvey from We Are Change Orlando. So it took me a while to wind down. I was almost envious of you having something to do to keep you up today, because that would have been the preferable way to go. Otherwise, as I did, I woke up about 10 minutes before the show. So, yeah, I'm having my coffee. Good morning.
What sort of topics did you cover this morning then?
Justin's life history, basically, just his whole activism from his early days with kind of getting excited about the start of We Are Change in New York with the 9/11 stuff, and then, just his whole path, I guess, to Flat Earth. And then he actually has something he's working on, a video right now. Neil deGrasse Tyson was in his area recently, so he and a friend went with signs and went out front and never got to talk to Neil, but they had a lot of interesting interactions with the public. And then a police officer who was there for the event wound up talking to him, actually interested in Flat Earth for some time. So, yeah, it was
excellent.
I can't wait to see the whole video he's making. We just got a teaser, a little audio clip from him last night. So he said as soon as he gets it ready, he'll definitely get with us here on the Iron Realm FRINGE-CAST.
Look forward to that. How are you, James?
Well, bad, man. Keep my head above water. Still dealing with a lot of shit in the real sense of things, but had a victory. Got my power turned on yesterday, so we have heat. And I have a little flat fact for this week that I'll share later when you guys go through the news bag. I'm still on the whole keeping it simple trip, so I got some very simple truths to talk about, and I can't wait to hear what everybody else is dealing with.
I'm glad you're back. Sorry to hear you're having trouble, brother.
You turned your power off.
The heat, so I was missing gas, and there are such cunts. Pardon my language. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Literally, I canceled my power because I couldn't afford it last July. So they charge you, no matter what you do, they charge you $75 to have a pipe here in Canada. So plus the bill I had before, because it was getting out of hand and I couldn't afford it, I was $747 in the hole. And it's like been freezing here, so I've been using the oven and the microwave and my little heater. So finally yesterday, part of my struggle for the last couple of weeks was trying to get help for that, and I did. So it's on, and it's 22, and I'm happy. But lots more fights coming up. Now I got to fight for my mortgage coming up in the middle of November. Anyways, this is not show stuff, but it's real stuff. So I'm good. I can't wait to talk about the little flat facts I have, and I can't wait to hear all about your guys' show and how everything's going. So I look forward to that, and peace and love to everybody listening and all the regulars. Thank you very much for always being here. And darn if it isn't nice that it is a full house again. And yeah, take it away, John.
Hey, James,
back to you, Josh.
I was just going to say, James, we love you. I hate when one of us is struggling like that. Yeah, if you ever need any help, just let me know. I mean, again, I'm not necessarily financially flush, so I don't know that I can help you out there, but, I'm a hell of an ear. And if you want to call and vent and tell me all about how evil those coons are that are shutting off your feel free to. I mean, really, I will be more than happy to sit and listen.
The IRM vent line, the flat line.
That's it.
That's it.
It's
exactly, brother.
But sit there and go through all that stuff alone. That's why we're here. Real quick, I got to bolt out of here in like 10, 15 minutes. I got to go run my son to work for his first job.
Yeah.
It'll only take me like 20 minutes, half hour.
Yay! Congrats, Papa.
Yeah, because
what's the young fella doing, if you don't mind me asking?
He's working for a store called Home Goods, and it's I'd say pretty self-explanatory. It's full of goods for guess what, your home. Right. So rugs, I mean, just your general bric-a-brac BS that they'll sell at an overpriced markup, but they'll pay him to do it. So
he's gonna charm the pants off them just like his dad does in real life. He's gonna be great. I bet you he'll sell a lot.
That's silly.
Mate, that's how I started working in a homeware store. It was what was it? Do It All, and then B&Q after that. They can send me some free stuff from.
Yeah,
that's how I started.
Too. Very similar to me as well.
Good lad.
So before I bolt out of here, I do want to just say that I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that today we're going to have on a fella by the name of Guy Williams. And Guy Williams is a poet. And he and this guy from Germany started a group they call themselves the Bilderberg Group, after, of course, the infamous, Bilderberg Group. The guy in Germany does like electronic music in the background, and Guy does the poetry and does some spoken word poetry over top of the music. He's got some really good stuff, and that's who you heard at the top of the hour when we came into the show, was some of his stuff. that he does all kinds of stuff.
Have you heard a lot of their stuff, Josh?
I've gone through and listened to pretty well everything on there. If you guys want to real quick, go to the-bilderberg-group.com. There's a set list there. There's a long, you can feel free to listen. I think there's a longer playlist on YouTube that's got all the versions. The website has some different edited versions that they have out there. And I think the YouTube playlist has everything. Yeah, this kid's everywhere. He's all over the map. I mean, from chemtrails to flat earth. I mean, everything. Everything. It's just straight up truth or poetry. And it's really, really interesting stuff to get in there and just zone out and listen to it. So yeah, hopefully we'll get him on. I've sent him a link on Facebook, so we're just waiting for him to join up. And hopefully he doesn't come whilst I'm gone, because, well, that's pretty unprofessional, because no one here has really had any conversations with him other than me, and for me not to be here would just be stupid. So I will try to get out of here and get back as soon as I can.
Be safe.
I'll do my best. I'm pretty good. My car is a beast. It's a big old piece of metal. So
there you go.
Keeps me safe. That being said, the Show Me the Curve Midwest Flat Earth Meetup was this past weekend on Sunday. And man, was it a turnout. There was myself and two others. I mean, really, that was a lot better than I thought it would be. We had 4 or 5 people actually sign up on the website, order their free tickets so that I could see that they had planned to come. But really only this couple are the only ones that showed up. But they did drive like an hour and a half from Illinois over to see me, just to hang out for a few hours. Now we hung out for like 3 hours and just BS'd and talked about a little bit of everything. They are from Springfield, Illinois. He met his wife in South America. His name is Sean, and Sean was thoroughly interested in global warming once upon a time and decided that he needed to make the trek to Antarctica to investigate this horrible, horrible man-made global warming. Well, Sean made it as far as South America and went no further and ended up running across this lady from Germany, and they promptly fell in love and got married and did a bit of globe trotting, as they say, and finally settled there in Springfield. But I guess he's definitely a flat earther. She's not so convinced, but she's definitely interested. Her dad, I think, worked with satellites, so she's really interested to get Sean and her dad together to talk some flat earth and see how her dad handles it. But it was a really good meetup. I really had a good time. They were super, super nice people. Basically, I just transferred my entire studio here, loaded it up in my big metal beast of a car, and set it up just right there in the bar. So if you guys get a chance, check out our channel. It's labeled as such as the Show Me the Curve Midwest Flat Earth Meetup. And I had a couple cameras there so you can see me talking. Walt and Candy from I Spy NASA Lies YouTube channel did some narration for me there at the beginning. We just kind of hung out till Sean and his wife showed up. But good times were had by all. You could actually see me drink a full beer, which is more than most people have seen me drink in months and months and months. I'm notorious for dumping out half a warm beer, so you actually get to see me drink an entire thing. I mean, it took me 3 hours, but I did it.
That's unusual, though, isn't it, for that low turnout? I mean, most of the meetups have got a good turnout. I mean, I've seen sort of 30 odd people at some of them. That's a bit of a shame.
Well, from what Chris told me, he set up his Flat Earth Oregon page on that meetup site and first announced it and put out invitations back in November of last year.
Oh, right.
And the most turnout he got, like, for months was like 1 here, 2 there. And then he finally did one that was a hike, I believe, and had a few more turnout just for the hike part. And that was it, 2 or 3 at the most. It literally just took Mark Sargent heard about his that he was having in that downtown Portland area. And that's the other thing. He had always had it in his area, which is a little more rural, a little out of the way in Oregon, I believe, probably about 2 hours from Portland. So having it in Portland and then Mark Sargent getting wind of it, he may have sent the information to Sargent, actually, and he put it on his channels. And that kind of got the word out into the big Flat Earth community. That got D Marble interested in it. So he showed up, and that was right after he had just hit big with his spirit level on the airplane videos. So he showed up, and I mean, literally that night, Chris expected, his regulars, his buddy that came with him, and maybe Miss Carolyn Gutman Day. They had been in communication. She was already into the Flat Earth community a lot there in Oregon, in Portland. So it really took a while for him to build to the 25 we got that night that I went to my first meetup. It's a slow build, it seems. I've put out a few things on my Facebook page about trying to get one set up here in Louisiana, and so far I've yet to actually have a Louisiana flat earther contact me. I know some personally in my real life, but I don't have a.
Sounds like Mark Sargent's the key.
I guess so. Getting that Sargent word on it. Well, I mean, he's got a few more followers than we do.
And he's on pretty common. He's on quite often.
He's everywhere. Well. Yes, he's everywhere. So.
Oh well.
That also brings
us next time, Josh.
Chris has actually let me know that he's kind of taken a little step out for a little while of the Flat Earth thing, as he said it in his text to me. He said he would definitely come back on the show anytime and talk about whatever. But his active account and all that, his YouTube channel, I think he's taking a break. It sounds like he's got a lot going on with his cannabis business too. It's their big, oil pressings and all this kind of thing, time of the year. So he's really tied down with that a lot. So, but we'll try to get him on soon again.
That's all right. Once you're flat, you don't go back.
Oh yeah, he didn't say anything about going back on the ball. He's just taking a little break from being so active. I mean, he had a lot to do with getting the whole thing going there in Oregon with the Flat Earth billboards, and so yeah, he's just it's been a lot, and he needs a break and focus on the business. It sounded like.
Well, you all need a break sometimes. So is Josh gone? Should we move on to a topic?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had to take off and get his son there on time. So.
Nope, I'm here, but I'm going to bounce out.
Oh, my apologies, sir. I was trying to cover for you there. Will you be careful again and tell your son have a great first day?
All right. I'll see you guys in just a few.
Yep, see you in a bit.
Joy, Josh.
What about you, Rob? Anything been happening this week, Rob?
Guys, just to come back to, I had to dip out there for a second, but I just heard Mark Sargent. I don't know if anyone's heard the attack on him that's been posted tonight, and him and Patricia Steer, MGTV. I think it is.
I know them.
Have a strange set of data registering of marksargent.com. Was first registered 2012, so some 2 years before he says he became interested in flat Earth. It was registered by a guy. Some Ream.
Is this enclosed Earth or something? His site's called, is it? Enclosed World.
He's the managing director of a IT company called Metatron. I'm trying to remember this. I've literally watched it just before we joined up tonight. And basically this Metatron and this guy, Mr. Ream, registered the Mark Sargent website 2 years before Mark Sargent says he became thingy. He runs it. The company Metatron is also the producer of his website and his app, and also Patricia Steer's app. And their motto is something like acquire something else and then monetize. And there's a few strange things pointed out. I just thought I'd mention it. It was just something that I've seen popped up as we see.
Do you know which website? Because I think Mark's got Mark Sargent and Enclosed World and that something else. And he's probably got about 50 websites, hasn't he?
But if you look at the app on the App Store, it does say Metatron, and I assume that's
which website?
The app, the Android and
Do you
Apple
mean
app.
the dating app or something?
No, they've got their own Flat Earth websites, haven't they? I'm not casting
You've
I'm just
lost me,
saying
mate.
it's
You've
come
lost
out. It's come out.
I'm asking.
Is it an app or a website? Which one is it?
Both. Mark Sargent's got his own pay channel, and he's also got a Android app, and Patricia Steer's got an Android app. They're kind of irrelevant. The point is that these functions are owned by a company that registered the name marksargent.com 2 years before Mark Sargent.
Yeah, but the thing is, Adam, I mean, Mark
And it's not
Sargent's
owned by
always been Mark Sargent. So, I mean, is it
that's
that
the
I
next-
would have a website called johnsavage.com, from 8 years ago, even though I wasn't a flat earther? That's why I was asking which website, because if it was Enclosed World, then yeah, that's interesting. If it's Mark Sargent, then it's not interesting at all. Not that I've seen it, but...
No, I just say, but like I said, my point isn't to cast aspersions. It was to say, look, this is quite interesting that something, again, it appears to be an accusation that the whole thing is, in terms of their setup, is a well-orchestrated event begun years before they appeared on the scene. I think that's what he's implying, and implies there'll be further information in part 2. Now, whether it's true or false, my point was, look at what's happening. Whether it is true or false, if it's false, then there's controlled attacks going off now, quite well orchestrated, if it's going to this level of detail and production. And if not, then it's fairly obvious.
Well, I think we should get Patricia and Mark on and have them discuss that sometime soon. And it sounds like...
I think that's a great idea. Give people the opportunity and right to reply other than by their own, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I certainly want some more further details. Not that I'm going to defend either of them, if they...
Oh, not at all. I mean,
they are. No.
Give them the option.
Yep. And you certainly don't want to hang anyone before seeing the evidence. So, yeah, same rules apply with everyone, really.
Well, she's invited us on her show, and we were in the middle of things with, I was in Oregon, and I think Adam was in Italy, and James was hit and miss with things going on, so it was hard for us all to try to get on, so we should just turn the tables and have her on our show.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm in.
I think she does a show at the same time as we do, but right now...
Well, we should definitely have her on our show then.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Anyway, I interrupted Rob. We were going to you for your bits and bobs, mate. Sorry.
I've got nothing. I was just going to say I've got nothing. I've got nothing.
We let Rob off the hook 1 week last night, and now he has nothing.
Yeah. No, I was over my next door neighbour's place, and he's a full-on flat earther now. He's even converted a bloke at his work into the flat earth. It sounds like the bloke at work is his work is in that no sleeping stage, is just full on. So yep.
How do you feel about that, Rob? Having your next door neighbour, like before you were moaning about not having anyone in the whole of Queensland. Now your next door neighbour's a flat earther. You must be over the moon.
Yeah, it's good going over there and went over there last night. Had a bit of a chat and showed him a few things again. He was asking about compasses. How does the compass work? And I tried to find Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole's compass video where he's got the boat sailing around, and he's got to change course because the compass is always facing north. So I tried to find that video, but because his channel got taken down and he started up a new one, I don't think he's re-uploaded that video or done another one. So I just explained it to him, and he understood that. Showed him a few of my videos, the mirror band on my videos and a few photos that have taken over the last year, and I think he understands how the mirror banding affects what you see as well now. So now I spent a couple of hours with him last night. Yeah.
So how much had you spoken to him before? Before this? I mean, about anything.
A fair bit. Yeah, fair bit. Yeah, fair bit. Well, it started off with what did he say to me? I think it was something about 9/11. I think I don't even know how we got there, John. But he mentioned something, and I went. My eyes sort of pricked up. My ears pricked up. I went, wow. and I didn't mention flat Earth for a couple of months, maybe 3 or 4 months before we had him over here for a barbecue, and it was the moon, and he was talking about. I think he even might have mentioned going to the moon, and I just laughed at him. and then I mentioned everything that I believe, and he went away for about a week, and come back. He's going, I think you're right.
Was this the one whose father you had an argument with?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I've got you.
That's him. Yeah. The father is. He loves the news. He believes everything that's on the news. His son has told him the world's a stage, but he won't believe him. Yes. So no, it's good to convert. And I'm hoping to have Ross on TFR next Friday. I had a really, really good conversation with him about government control, and when you're born, your name is just a corporation, and very, very similar. Dave Murphy had a video just out. He did an interview, and he mentioned the same thing. So I don't get much time with Ross because he's in and out of our work. He comes in for about half an hour in the morning, and then he's gone again. So he's busy. So we'll get him on TFR next Friday if we can, and he can go for it. Yeah, he's got a lot to say. He's a New Zealander living in Australia, but he's got a lot to say. Yeah, he does a lot of research on constitutions and all that. He'll just rattle on for hours if you let him. So no, that'll be good as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting subject for sure. Another deep rabbit hole.
Sounds like I did do a lot this week, didn't it?
It does, mate. Yeah, amazing, isn't it? How much you forget.
That's a normal week. That's a normal week. Chatting to people. I've given up with the office troll. He comes in and he pokes his head in the office and he goes, "It's not flat," and then he'll walk off. I just let him go now, and I don't bother with him anymore. We talk about work stuff, and we talk about soccer, and because he follows Nottingham Forest, and we just talk about normal things. But I'm not bothering the flat Earth stuff anymore with him. There's no point. There's no point. And that's me for the week. That's me for the week.
Thank you, man. I have a buddy I've known, I don't know, 10, 15 years or so, and we don't see each other that regular, but when we do see each other, that's something we never discussed. And one day I went over and he was watching a Discovery space documentary, and I was shocked. I really didn't think he was into that kind of stuff. So I started asking him some questions about what we were seeing on the screen, and that got us to talking flat Earth. And I started talking about curvature, and he works on boats. I said, man, how far can you see a boat, at bow level? 20, 30 miles, that's way below the curve. He was just, no, man. Certain parts of the Earth are flat. I've seen that weird warped ball they show without the oceans on it. And he was just convinced I had lost it. Well, he apparently did some research, and I laid the right seed, because a few weeks later, he started listening to our show. I don't know if he's listening today, but he's definitely doing the research. So, and look, you buddy next door. So
that picture of the ball without oceans, as he described it, is that I think I know the one you mean. It looks like a huge potato. That's not actually. Sure. Yeah, it's not without oceans. That's mapping gravitational fields, as far as I remember.
I'm
And it
not
looks
sure. I've
ridiculous.
seen some that are supposed to be without the oceans too. I've seen some that are supposed to be, just the topography of the ocean floor.
Yeah, I mean, I've
Different
seen
riffs,
the topography, like when they were laying the telegraph cables across from
The satellite cables.
No, well, yeah, but this was back in the early 19s, and they were laying the first cables between, I think it was Ireland and Newfoundland or whatever, and they'd mapped all along the ocean floor, and it came back completely flat, plain. But then they'll say level is the word, level with the earth, perpendicular to the ball.
Well, that's the current scientific statement of where the flattest places on Earth are. They're the Atlantic plains, aren't they? They're called. They're supposed to be the flattest, flatter than Kansas sort of places.
And it's similar in the Pacific as well. Vast plains of no, gradient difference, no curve, nothing.
Well, that leads neatly, mate, to the bit I wanted to probably Walt to comment, I would imagine, on a good bit, is the German U-boats map of what they're showing, which at first impression looked weird to me. You see them?
Yes, I've seen them. I don't know who else here has seen them. I was hoping we'd be able to show it, so hopefully Josh, when he gets back, will be able to pop it up on the screen for us. But
I've seen them, and
I guess
I'm going to try
video
and share it for you shortly.
Okay, cool deal. Let me know when you get it up.
I've got it ready, guys.
Well, share away.
He's on it.
Okay.
I guess I played enough video games, Adam, that as soon as I saw the map, it clicked exactly that it was, a map showing going down into this certain level, leveling out, going up. I could see that, and then that line underneath is the actual trace of the path you would have to take. I guess I've drawn things like that myself back in the day. Just it clicked. So I knew that was directions for a U-boat. But then when we saw the translation, that was pretty much a clincher. So you said that your better half has actually been able to translate a bit more because of her ability to read German. And that would actually be, I can't wait to hear what all she says.
Yeah, she's only done a bit for us, and it was the bits that, there are translations of what you described there as I thought it was a bit like, the old Scramble game on the Atari. It looks like that.
Sir, exactly. Way back in the day.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's obviously the interpretation of that, but the bit, like I said, the first thing she said to me is, no, it's not. I was thinking, what's a weird map? Was it Nubia or something like that? So it's obviously, you know what I mean? So I thought it was for her to point out that it was subterranean and it was the ocean floor.
Is that the best image you've got, Adam?
Sadly, it's about the most decent one I can find. I could probably...
No. I'll put some others up.
If you've got a better one, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll bung one up.
The bit I thought was funny was you see here, this writing here. I think apparently she says in quite strict German, it says, "Follow these instructions precisely." Which I suppose is both typically German, but probably also very important. If you look at what you appear to be navigating there, it's a very narrow corridor and so on and so forth. And I would imagine it goes on a bit more than what they're describing. And that was the other thing that she picked out. And I think it's in the text above. It describes what this thing's for, and it says something along the lines, it's for navigating the rooms and corridors on the path to Agartha, which, so for whatever you think is subterranean, hollow earth, flat earth, subterranean caverns, whatever, I think it's quite clear specifically what its directions to, which is what I thought was...
Well, I wonder if that's just an idiosyncrasy of the translation, or if it's literal halls, and corridors. Because, I mean, there's way back in the UFO community, when I was doing a lot of that research, there was always talk of hidden pyramids that had been discovered in Antarctica. In fact, our buddy Uncle Buzz tweeted his infamous "It's Evil Itself" or whatever from Antarctica and showed that mountain / pyramid shaped object. He sent the picture out, the tweet out. So that was when you said those words, corridors and halls. That's the first thing I thought of. Are we passing underneath the remains of an old pyramid, and that's how you get through to get to Agartha? That's kind of, I got to put that whole spin on it, man. I love those kind of stories.
That's what made Marie check, and she went online to check the German dictionary and of her interpretation. And what she thought was odd was it was like I said, corridors and that, but it wasn't caverns. It wasn't described in a cave-like way. It was more more constructed. Yeah. Is the only thing. Clue. Yeah.
I love it. And see, the thing is, I mean, it's almost like, again, that early days of this whole flat earth wake up period, when you're just like, you feel like you're stuck in this movie you can't wake up from. It's like, is this really what's going on around me? Here we go, another secret Nazi spy German adventure to get to the underworld. It's just awesome stuff. And what's funny is you can't write this. I mean, fiction isn't this crazy.
Well, see, I'm being a git now, Walt, but this was my only other thought. I alluded to there when I said about Mark Sargent and this attack on flat earth. And the only thing I would say about this is it seems to be very ball earth, hollow earth information based. It seems to be slightly directing the Nazi operations towards a hollow earth paradigm. Because the use of the word Agartha, which is, as far as I understand, is a hollow earth theory more than anything. It's not to say, but that's not to say they're not real. But I'm just wondering why it's come out now, and it does have some opposite. It's not opposing the globe by its natural standard science description, because it's still hollow earth. But it is a challenge. A little bit, I think, if it's suggesting hollow earth. And the only thing I would say is look at the diagram. That's not a hollow earth. That's a subterranean cavern along a flat plane. But I'll leave that point. But that's my only objection. I can't state its authenticity, but if it was fake, that's the only reason I can think.
We have no idea of its actual origin. I mean, there's picture there. You see someone holding it up that's actually in possession of it. I mean, it could be a prop from a movie that we don't know exists. I mean, it could be something that silly. We don't know. We have to, and that's something I've been trying to do since it popped up, is find out its authenticity, try to get who that is holding it up, find out where they acquired it. I mean, in the notes, it says this is part 2, I think, of instructions, and don't open part 3 until you get to Agartha, something like that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
it
got
says
a full
that somewhere about this being
somewhere.
part 2 of orders, and don't open orders of part 3 until you actually arrive. It's at the very bottom. Another interesting thing I thought is there's some weird red printed markings that have what to me look like astrological symbols for different astrological signs and interesting times. And yeah, John has it up on his screen right now. There's a crescent moon, and that was something Pisces.
It was Cancer, I think.
Oh, is that Cancer? I thought the two things
69, yeah. Wasn't that what we decided, Adam?
Yeah, we thought that was the sign for Cancer, but what I thought was more interesting, if you look at the one that I had up, it's not on that map. I'm not sure when those.
Really,
no,
I didn't know those weren't on your version.
No, if you look, if I go back up to the original.
Well, that is interesting.
Yeah. Okay, can you see that? Can you see the chart?
I do see it.
The side-on chart at the bottom left. See, there's no red markings or anything in there. And then if you go back to here, There is red
The close
markings on it,
Interesting.
which is very interesting. Which means there's either more than one copy, and these were all from a.
Well, this one you're showing actually looks like something that's been either reproduced on a computer screen or in some type of very, very. I mean, graphically, it looks. This doesn't look like a picture of a document. You know, the one you have,
No,
John. It looks like
it doesn't. But it's
graphics.
it's different to this one, that's for sure.
Again, we need to dig into this. We'll definitely. That's something I'm excited about. I'm wanting to look into it more.
And this was the other symbols. I mean, these are like a date here: 10/2/1944. Times.
I stand to be corrected here, but what I see there, and I think I'm right, but that's a symbol for. That's not a Y. That's a symbol for lambda, isn't it? No, capital L, which I think's something to do with frequency. I'm not 100% sure what it would mean, but that would be to me some kind of indication of frequency or something. God knows what the O is and what any of it means, but it whereas the other one seems to have some kind of moon crescent and the symbol for Cancer, doesn't it? And
well, is it the symbol for the sun? A circle? No, I think it's a circle with a dot in the astrology. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So you got
so.
Cancer up.
But that is Cancer. I just looked it up. You're right. I was thinking Pisces. So my apologies to any astrologers out there.
And then a crescent moon up with some.
Yeah, so crescent moon. The sun is a dot, a circle with a dot. I'm looking at the chart now. I don't see anything that looks like the Y symbol there on the other picture.
Let's go back, John. There you go. Look, can you see that?
The little Y split type symbol. Well, it could almost be an Aries, possibly. Aries.
Maybe. Yeah, that's
Aries
better.
Arched.
Yeah. Could well be.
And then you've got the full sun. Is that the sun then?
And it could be the Aries without the dot. Yeah, it could be just didn't put the dot for the sun.
Or a full moon.
Or a full moon. Actually, that would probably make more sense since the other actually has a crescent moon in that same position in the formula or whatever that is. So, well, if anyone out there in the chat or anyone watching or seeing this later is familiar with this type of, I guess, annotation on a map or, I don't know. Is it something to do with, you remember our buddy John Brahma was talking about only certain times that these trips in the Antarctica region are possible that would let you get through certain areas. Maybe this time of the year that's symbolizing is when the water's low enough in that internal cavern for it to be an easier passage. I don't know. Interesting. Anyone out there knows, let us know what you know. You know?
Is there anything in chat on that? I'm not sure if anyone. I've not had a look. But...
I don't have it up. I was actually trying to pay more attention here since we don't have Josh in the pilot seat here.
Can anyone read that?
I can't on my screen with your. Can you make yours a little more? No,
I can't. There's no scroll bar at the bottom on mine.
Yeah, I can read it off of my tablet. If you'll give me a second, cover me for a moment while I dig up the.
Trying to.
Do you have that in the Hangout? In the Twitter links room.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let me copy.
I had it. That's why I had seen the red symbols. I had that actual translation.
Yeah, it's seems quite complete. Oh crap! What have I just pressed? Anyway, I'll unshare my screen for a minute.
Yeah, just pop it in the links. I don't know where I dropped it because I had that same translation. It's probably in the tweet that I didn't send to the room for some reason. Let's see.
Yeah, I can't. Thought I'd link to it was a 4chan forum or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That was where I saw it. That same.
So what was you saying? There's more. There's an indication of more to follow there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what the translation. That same thing John has on screen that I can't actually read and can't find. I've read that translation, and the very last thing it says is, "This is part 2 of their orders. Don't open part 3 until you get there, until you arrive at the second light." I think. Which is interesting when you talk about the whole idea of there being a second sun, either internally or outside the ring. But don't open the other orders, or don't go to something about the other light. Again, I'm trying to find my translation. Have you popped it in there yet, John? I'm sorry. I'm trying
put
to
it in the panel room. See if that
panel room.
actually,
Okay.
see if it works, because I'm not sure.
While you're looking at that, quick question for James. James, are you there, dude?
Yeah, of course. What do you need?
Would you open the envelope before or after you got to Agartha?
That one's not popping up for some reason, John.
I don't know. It seems confusing to me that they wouldn't initialize a 2-stage envelope project for that. That doesn't seem plausible to me. It doesn't sound like the Nazi army that I've studied or known. So to me, it sounds like a movie plausibility. It sounds like perfect. Like, open the second seal when you get to this checkpoint, or like a orienteering type game. You know. But that's just my 2 shakes on it.
I'm with you, bro, because I'm like, all right, I can wait till Christmas morning to not go rustling for presents and have a look every year. Do you know what I mean? But somebody says, you've got to go here and then you can open this envelope and it'll give you the secrets of a hidden land, either beyond the realm or in the earth. I don't think I could actually go all that way before opening the envelope. So I'm assuming that is the thing that
you're approaching that from your inquisitive mindset of the person you are, who is that person who would go digging into those orders. We're talking about military mindset, and the military mindset that is that set, that is in the level that you're in a submarine in the middle of a war, you're pretty much following orders. I mean, I've known quite a few guys in the military over the years, and they definitely had a different mindset. I've even asked a few of them, how did you do these things that were just against everything in your inner fiber, and they, that's what it comes down to. The mindset that they approach. Number one, a person who goes into it has that mindset that is then able to be molded into a person that can then just follow orders, just pull that trigger, just do what you're told. I don't know. Again, to me, it seemed very in line with that whole first part you were translating about. Do this exact thing, this exact specific order, so that whole precision they're known for, I guess.
I've just checked the chat, and they can't see what the hell we're talking about, apparently. So,
John's not presenting? My goodness.
Well, I don't think either were. I'm not sure. John's presenting to me.
To us, but he's not presenting because we don't have our lovely pilot in the
we need the man that does.
My man, where is he? He will be back, guys. We'll get it up on the screen.
We needed him to leave it on the Hangout, him sharing his Hangout.
There we go.
So it's sharing on my live feed.
Right.
And in
all
this
right, everybody,
Hangout.
real quick, pop over to John's.
No, don't. See if you can find it. It was in the video, wasn't it? Was it? Who put the video out? The Bloody Truth.
It was.
If you could just make your screen bigger, John.
If I could, I would. Walt, don't you worry.
Oh, I remember. You can't do that.
As I zoom in, it disappears off to the right.
I'm barely able to read the bottom in parentheses. At the bottom, it says further instructions in package number 3. Or I'm saying number, it's NR period.
Yeah.
I'm assuming number. Further instructions in package number 3. Only when arrived in Agartha to be opened. But at the last on number 9.
Yeah, do you want me to read it? says proceed
Yeah, I
to
can-
Agartha, full speed, proceed straight ahead until the new light can be seen. Change of magnetic poles. The changes of the compass needle and instruments are to be disregarded. Interesting.
Very, very interesting.
So I've posted the video in the chat for everybody.
The
But if you
link.
type that in, if you type in German U-boat map to Agartha, you'll see all the maps come up. You should get it. Pretty much what we were talking about, guys.
Yeah, and in the description of the link is a link straight to the 4chan thread, which has got all the
That's
photos
probably
and
how I
everything in
found
it.
it. Yeah, under the video. Now that you said that, that's why I can't find it on Twitter, because it wasn't on Twitter. It was under the description.
Yeah,
Thank you,
it's
John.
in the description. But if you can, I don't know if anyone can share better photos, because I only took screen grabs of it so that I could put them up here. But yeah, no, it's interesting stuff. But yeah, really hard to authenticate. Really hard.
I don't have a problem fitting hollow, and you hear the air quotes, I hope, hollow Earth into our ideas of this flat plane. I
I've
mean,
got no problem.
8 miles down is as far as we've gone.
Yep.
I know I've seen tunnel works, just playing around in Oklahoma as a kid. I saw and went into some caverns that were just crazy, and that was just surface level caverns. So just go down a mile. Imagine what could be down there as far as, tunnels and
Yeah, I've
inner
heard of
workings.
potholers coming across cathedral-sized spaces underground.
Exactly.
All sorts of
Carlsbad
stuff.
Cavern, things like that here in the States. It's
Mm.
Cathedral Cavern thing. I mean, there are huge underground areas that would easily have people,
Yeah.
be able to live there. And then if you take that even deeper and pure
who
cleaner
knows?
waters and just,
Who
I
knows?
think
what-
it's a historical thing, isn't it? In our history, it's there. It's one of those hidden in plain sight things. This subterranean living. There's still remnants of it. We say cavemen, but realistically, I don't think it started there. I think that's a return to what was safe. If you look in China, you'll sort of see the most grandiose cut underground things coming in sort of 2,000 years ago, and they appear to be replications of older temples and older stories of what they should be recreating, a bit, whether you believe the pyramids is that sort of thing or not.
And
so
don't
there's
forget the
long-standing-
accounts between the accounts of the underground tunnels stretching from Scotland all the way to the south of France. You ever see that?
wow, I've never heard that. No, that's wild.
I looked into it. As far as I could see, they weren't linked, but they were tunnel systems, or are tunnel systems, stretching all the way from Scotland to the south of France. But I don't know if that's valid or not.
All right, so if you mugs want to start screen sharing, I've got it up. Everybody can see it now.
He's back.
What
Save
did you
us,
want,
Josh?
Josh?
I just said if you guys wanted to screen share something, it was up and ready and everybody can see now.
Oh, right.
So,
I think we're past it now.
Yeah, we're done. We're over it. No.
Yeah, I can
It was mostly just the bottom bits with the new light and the packet number 3, because the rest is really just directions on how to deal with this, and the change of the magnetic poles. That part's really interesting.
Yeah, let's move on. I'm not sure what time we're going for a break. Have we got another half hour? Or?
We're at the hour, I believe. Are we? Well, we didn't start till 10 after, so let's be authentically an hour. If you guys are, is everyone needing a break? I'm fine with that if that's the case.
And I think
Welcome back, Josh. We're taking a break.
well, guys should be with us at the top of the hour. So
Awesome.
we're at the top of the hour, but
I
when
could
we
use
get
a break.
when we get back from the break, Ty should be with us. I said Ty because Ty's in chat, and I'm looking at chat. Guy should be with us after the break.
So, can you line up my link then for me, Josh, if we're going for the break? Number 3.
Is it? It's the Vagabonds.
Yeah. So this week, who wants to announce it? Vagabond did a remix. I think with I've seen Teresa's name in there as well, bandied about. Not sure if there was a musical remix there. I'm sure I noticed a couple of bits, whether it was just better clarity than what we've been using or what.
Oh, I know what it is. See, here's what happened. When I made the video, the original video I made, that was early in my video days, learning how to operate things, going between editors. I could actually work on my system, just trying to figure this whole video thing out. And I just happened upon that song as part of one of the packages I had with copyright-free music, and used it and made a video that I loved and we all loved, and it became kind of our theme song. Well, when I went back to take some of the images I wasn't happy with and tweak it and add some new stuff we had discovered into the video, I realized that in making the old video, somewhere along the way, I must have dropped or lost a section of the song trying to change video images. I did that in one of our early shows too. In one of our old Have No Sphere podcasts, you can hear us all saying good night and thanks a lot about halfway through the thing because I dropped it in the wrong place. So I'm sure that's what I did. Dropped the music somewhere else and left like a whole verse of the song out. So what you're hearing here, unless I'm wrong, guys, Vagabond, if you did do a remix, shout out, but it sounded to me like just the real whole song, the whole version.
Well, I loved it. And there was one
too.
other thing, and I've got to thank Vagabond for this.
Yes, it's amazing, and the song is beautiful.
Yeah, after seeing the lyrics, dude, I realized how much of it I was singing wrong.
I did too. I did the same thing. Adam. I said, "Oh wait, that's what she says," and I've been singing that hard at the top of my lungs.
Yeah, God damn. Really? No, yeah. Okay, so thanks, Vagabond, is all I want to say.
Thank you, sir, for sure. Thanks.
Yeah,
and Karen, I think you said had something to do with it, so that's awesome.
Teresa, I think.
Oh, Teresa, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think. All right, then. Well, with that being said, we'll just go ahead and give it a play. And hopefully Guy Williams from the Bilderberg Group will be with us on the backside of this break. You've been listening to the IronRealmMedia, except for Josh, who has been away. This is Flat Earth Friday FRINGE-CAST.
We're up pretty high, our heads are almost in the clouds, and their feet are chained to the ground with their chains of misery. They've got a hold of me, they won't let go of me. Let go of me. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you while you defy gravity. They can be cruel and mean and a huge pain. Our heads are in the clouds now. Don't let them make it rain. A smile can be the sign they're missing out on their rainy day. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you, or you defy gravity. You defy gravity. They say we aren't strong enough, we don't have what it takes. I say yeah, they're wrong enough, and we'll show them someday. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Oh yeah, don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you, or you defy gravity. You defy gravity. You defy gravity. Yeah, yeah. At you, or you defy gravity.
It's time for the ball to flatline.
The world is 70%
It's time for the ball to flatline.
So it's probably
it's
a
time
good
for the
thing
ball
that
to
the stuff is
flatline.
good for us.
It's time for
We
the
can
ball to
drink it,
flatline.
swim in it,
It's
grow
time for
food
the
with
ball
it,
to flatline.
just plain
It's
live
time for
because
the
of
ball
it.
to flatline.
However,
It's time
certain
for the
bodies
ball
of
to
water are
flatline.
shockingly
It's
hostile
time
to
for the
us.
ball to
Interacting with
flatline.
some
It's time for the ball to flatline. 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 Who doesn't like a little bit of a show off every once in a while? Let's talk about stars. What are they? Isn't it gnarly? We hardly know shit. Think about it. We barely grip the tip of the iceberg. So what have you heard and what do you know? My personal show is quite limited. I've given this a bunch of thought. I bought the farm just like you. Disarm the alarm without any proof. I use a toothbrush despite having teeth. Believing beneath me looks like jello. But hello, we can only drill 8 miles down, so how have we found what the core looks like? That kind of sounds like conspiracy, right? Does the fear might have less than a clue, make you see right when left and improve the rest of the moves in the spherical game, so it's best you include all possible trains thought to explain the frames that are strange. The games might be maintained, keep people working. Imagine you came up just the same, believing in shame without any smirking. Imagine them learning the earth isn't turning. The theory is bullshit, a pulpit that's earning, selling a sure thing where nobody asks questions concerning questionable math. We follow the path, repent when we're told, swallow the staff and subsequent load. No one is bold enough to spit, and I admit, I wouldn't either. To be cast into the ether for exposing the cheaters, to see your beliefs all fail, that hammers the nail when most coffins close. If you fell in a hole that could fold your life's work, would you die rolled or would you put on a shirt? Just some other jerk who makes a great living, pushing the dirt while graves keep on filling. But who's willing to kill him, spilling the blood of the scientist denying this big ball of mud? The grudge must runneth deep, the shelf too steep to climb. My mind refuses to settle, the metals they peddle seem cheap. As one of the sheep I sleep with my eyes open, watching the chosen run the ruse. I'm confused, no longer amused. It's true the abuse must stop. The mountaintop is curveless. The purpose is yet unknown. I'm simply blown away. If there's infinite space, shouldn't the way we see things change? If the stars all range in distance and size, shouldn't the stage then be a surprise? Shouldn't some eyes open or close if the stars in the sky are gas that explodes? I awoke with a cold, sick of monotony. I realized the globe really has got to be flat out hypocrisy. So here's my declaration. Now go ahead and mock me and buy the space station. It's time for the ball to flatline. 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 It's time for the ball to flatline.
It's also time for you to flatline. 1-304-503-FLAT 3528. Give us a call, leave us a message, send us a text. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know how stupid we are for thinking we live on a flat earth.
Sir, that was awesome. I am bowing down to that segue. You don't see it, but I am giving you the full Wayne bow. That was awesome segue.
Well, thanks. That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Yeah, you shouldn't be saving that good stuff that good, mate, for a Friday night. That should be a Friday or a Tuesday morning, that stuff.
Well, ideally, as soon as we get a chance to talk to Guy, hopefully we can get Guy on a Friday morning or a Tuesday.
That would be awesome. Amazingly awesome. Yes.
So well, you just dropped another segue there, didn't I? Just dropped another.
Let's see, then the segues could actually work.
Oh, that's right. We're not supposed to point him out. Dang it. Man, I'm going to figure out this radio thingamabobber one day.
Sweet. Well, we have Guy with us. I see Guy sitting in here. I just was able to look at the room now, and I see Guy with us. Guy, can you hear us? Oh, we don't hear you.
Oh, we can't hear him.
That's all right. Check your mics while I get you set up. We're getting. Hey, Walt.
There's a little microphone symbol somewhere around. Oh, there he is. I see the imagery.
So the little cog wheel, if you click it, it'll show you where your microphone is, and you just have to set it to the particular microphone.
Well, while he's getting, go ahead.
No, I was just going to try to have somebody fill.
No, while he's getting that straight, yeah, that was an awesome song we just heard as an intro. I have yet to have a whole lot of time this week. We have been just crazily swamped with our other show we do as well on TFR. So I finally got into some of it last night with Josh, and yeah, I'm definitely wanting to hear more, and hopefully we'll get to hear how all this came to be. How you've collaborated, the other gentleman that's helping you out. Just, yeah, some definite truths to be had here.
I'd say the same, Josh, Walt, mate. I've not had a chance to catch up this week, but Josh shared a bit of some of the other tunes earlier on. That was the flattest I've heard, that one that was just playing there. I'm not sure the title. But yeah, it's quite cool, isn't it, that? That was quite nice. After party chill out, quite good. Took me back 20 years.
I was going to say that too. Back to the date. Where's my light?
Maybe not 20. Yeah, 15, maybe 15.
A light stick and a blow pop. Where am I? Let's go.
Yes. Quality.
Yeah, we better stop there. But yeah, I love it. I love it.
So
I've been playing around myself lately with some music, trying to get myself back into the musical mode. I have been doing all this whole production with you guys and more into the video end of the world. So I've kind of set my guitar
There we
down.
go. We can hear you.
Hey, I hear him. Welcome.
See, I just had to go out and come back in.
Welcome,
what it
Guy.
Is that always the case?
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say something along those lines myself.
Well, awesome, Guy.
Awesome, dude. My kid got past level 1 in Super Mario 2. So
Yes.
Mario 3, actually. Be right back.
I remember those days.
I love it.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Got real life to do.
2 days ago.
Anyway, so hi, guys. Sorry. Hi.
Hi, Guy. No, we're all about real life.
Did you see that shit? Oh, my God. The lid just fell off my drink and it exploded all in my face. Man, this is going well. Fuck yeah.
Welcome to Flat Earth Fridays, mate.
Welcome
wow.
to live streaming.
Right?
Yeah,
This-
no kidding.
Good to
Iron
meet you
Realm.
guys.
No, I'm really cool. I promise. I'm cool.
We're not.
Well, as I was saying, you're in the wrong place for cool. Then, my goodness, we're as geeky as it comes.
All right.
Well, why don't you go take a shower? No.
All right. Full attention now. Hi.
Hi.
So yes. So
So-
thanks for the kind words on the song. That's actually one of our older ones. And if I can give myself just a little bit of credit here, the way we record is I record into my phone in my wife's closet, surrounded by clothes to dampen it. There's no professional anything involved with us. So everything has to be done. Either each verse has to be done in one take or it just can't be done. So that whole song, that whole spiel is done in one take. So I'm patting myself on the back.
Dude, that's impressive. My goodness. I
Thank
can't tell you the cleanup jobs I've done playing around with production. So that is impressive. One take. That's
Thank you.
good.
Well, I couldn't do it again. It's not like I could do it live or anything.
I'm more
So how
impressed
long
with
does
the
it take-
DIY science. I think that's awesome. Make your own sound room.
Exactly.
That's class.
It's kind of one of those things where we're just. I love all the music I grew up with. I've just heard it too much. I grew up with the revival of that hippie generation. So we listen to Zeppelin, we listen to Doors and all that stuff. But I'm just sick of it because I've heard it too much and nothing good comes out on the radio anymore. So it's like, I guess we just got to make our own stuff. I don't know.
That's one of the few questions I've got, dude. What would you describe your genre as? We were just saying, I thought it was quite nice chill out music after a heavy night's dancing. It's the kind of stuff I used to listen to 15 years ago in terms of the background beats and.
Well, I like to think that it's the stuff that, you come home after the party and listen to while you're chilling out or when you're having the intellectual. Because I can't imagine people like having a crazy dance fest to my music. So when we think about live shows, we kind of think like a Pink Floyd type laser light show. God, I got fucking juice all over me. Sorry. But I jokingly, we kind of call our sound moose. It's smooth and silky, but it's got a swift kick in the head. So,
Like
I
the
love
movie.
it.
play
I
on
love
the
it.
words.
Moose.
Yeah. I don't know. I just figure if you're gonna start some, rap and I mean, if you think about it, the fact that we call rock and roll it's so stupid. What about that music has to do with rocks rolling? Nothing. But we call it that. So something stupid like moose, I guess that works too.
Hey, it all works, man.
I think it has to do with the way it makes your body move, the beats of the music. But I might be wrong. I think that's why they outlawed it in so many towns.
Yeah, well, I get mad and I like to go to the factory and just run around dancing all over the place.
That's it. Well, somebody needs a hero.
Not me. I'm my own hero.
So
There
here's
you go.
vague references to Footloose for those of you who aren't catching it. But
Yeah, we're old. You're just dating everybody on here.
Yes, we all are a little past these millennials. I was going to say generationals. My goodness. So how long does it take you to get like a song done? I know you're collaborating with someone from another country, correct?
Yeah, well, it just depends on it depends on his schedule. Right now he has a day job because we're not big famous musicians or anything. So he has a day job and, just like all day jobs, they're designed, there's a reason why we all work 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And it's to prevent us from being creative. It's for, if everybody only worked 2, 4, maybe 4 hours at the most a day, then everybody could have a job, everybody would be productive, and everybody would still have the energy to be creative. But that doesn't happen. So he has a day job right now, and that it sort of prevents us from doing more than we would. But we're both a little crazy, and you know, we have 57 songs because we're both crazy. So what usually happens is I get a hair up my ass about something, and I write it out, and that might take, you know, an hour to get the basic song written, and then you know, I might tweak it for a couple days, just trying to make the rhymes all mathematically correct. And then, like I say, I record it in the wife's closet, and then I just send it over to him. And you know, it's amazing to think what he does with it, because really, like, you know, being the vocals, I get all the sort of the focus, but the reality is I record and then send it over to him. He takes that, and just like it's another one of the instruments, he builds a song around my vocals. So whatever beat I sort of deliver it in, and then whatever the feeling of the song is, I'd say about 90% of the time he nails it. You know, 10% of the time I think the songs could use some work, but I'm more critical than anybody else is. But
Hey, Guy.
Yeah.
How big's your wife's closet?
It's pretty small. It's pretty small. If you guys can actually see it, it's pretty funny, because I'm sitting there, you know, I'm sitting there with my shoulders up. I mean, you guys can see me now in the video, but I'm sitting there kind of crimped up, and I've got the sleeve of one of her blouses or whatever. I have that sort of over my mouth, in between my mouth and the microphone of the phone, to act the pop screen. And you know, I just record it like that and send it over.
It's the best, my friend. That is awesome. Our buddy Josh actually told us that early on when we were all trying to figure out how to get some better sound, and that's what he said. Everybody go in the closet with your clothes, and it works.
Well,
So-
I you know, my thought behind it is there's more money spent on these microphones in your phone and getting them to adjust and pick up your voice specifically. So the phone already has that technology in it that it's blocking out other sounds and specifically focusing in on your voice. So, I mean, you really do have a fantastic mic right there. Like I say, I would use a pop screen. I use a blouse, you know, a sleeve, and just put it there so you get rid of the pops. But really, your phone is an amazing mic, and there's a lot of money that's gone into your phone's microphone. So
That's
I
brilliant.
think that's brilliant. Yeah.
It is great.
I was
I know,
expecting
I'm-
you to say you had a walk-in closet or something. Or,
no.
The smaller
I
the
live
better,
in
right?
Redford.
brilliant.
I am poor as they get. I've been on workman's comp for 2.5. So the origin of the band is back in MySpace days. I recorded a few sets of vocals, and then I just put it out there and invited people to make music with it. And Charles, Surgeon is his name, but he just goes by Charles. He stumbled upon it, made a couple tracks. We liked what we did. We came up with a group. We called it Project Radar. I think we made a 23 or 24 track album. And then at the same time, another person did some tracks with me, and he was a Shell oil executive. So he actually had money, and he was willing to put money into the project. So we called that project My Head Radio. We dropped 2 albums. We had 46,000 fans on MySpace. Like, we were getting reviewed in magazines, called the next big thing and all this other stuff. And then the conspiracy happened. I don't fucking know. We didn't work. Everything fell apart. My wife ended up getting pregnant. We had 2 kids. I got a real job. I was like, all right, well, I guess that's my destiny, is to do a real job. And then 2.5 years ago, in March of 2015, I got hurt at work. Just as I was sort of talking to Charles about maybe starting another project, maybe we should give it one more go. He's a couple years older than me. I'm 38. So we just thought, all right, well, now that I'm hurt, let's give the project a go. So I've had this idea for the Bilderberg group forever. I wanted to call us the Bilderberg group because I don't want you to be able to find us. You know, we call a lot of the songs, you know, the song you just played is called Under the Dome, because if you were to YouTube or Google Under the Dome, you're going to find Mark Sargent's Flat Earth video. And that's what I want you to find when you look for us, because it's all about, for me, it's all about education and awareness.
That's amazing, dude. That's genius. Oh my God, that's great.
Like
Same thing with the band name. I think if you look us up, you're never going to find us. You're going to find the Bilderberg. You're going to get one hell of an education if you look up the Bilderberg group.
That's
so I've had that idea for a while, and we just decided to give it a go. And in June of 2015, the Bilderberg group was born. And since then, we have 57 songs. And, you know, I think we've made enough noise that somebody should be paying attention to us. But I also know that I wrote the songs, The Samson Option and Israel and Leisure Suite Larry and, you know, a few other songs that talk about the people that pull the strings. So, you know, that doesn't work well.
Sounds just like IronRealmMedia's philosophy.
Never
be found.
Yeah, well.
We should.
It's working. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I wanted to clean up Leisure Suit Larry is by far one of my favorites that you've done. By far.
Thank you. That's one of my favorites too.
Did you play Leisure Suit Larry, sir? Are you an old gamer? Oh, I'm sorry.
I have not played it yet. I was probably.
I was asking Guy. Did you play Leisure Suit Larry back in the day?
I didn't. Leisure Suit Larry. Well, that's where I got it from, and I went Leisure Suite Larry so we don't get sued. Because in my head, we're the biggest band in the world. We should be the biggest band in the world. So I think about those things like that. Like I don't want to get sued when we are the biggest band in the world. But
well, it was actually
Larry. I played Leisure Suit Larry. That game was amazing.
It had some awesome little hidden things. Yes, it was great. Go look it up. It's too much to get into, guys, but lots of great Easter eggs, secret knowledge hidden away, good stuff.
Well, you know, that's sort of it's all like that. That's the point with the music, the titles, all of it. There's all sorts of hidden gems. Like I really like to sit with people and have them, you know, tell me what they think of my song and go through it line by line, because I really don't think everybody gets all the subtle little 80s and 70s metaphors and cartoon references and all that stuff that are in my song. So it's really cool to talk to guys my own age that dig it and get it.
Maybe we should go through one of your the lyrics of one of your songs, your favorite song or something, and then you could tell us exactly what each line actually means.
Well, that's no fun. No. I can't tell you guys.
Right.
The way I look at it too, this might sound weird, but I look at it like it's sort of like I'm just the vessel. The words are there, and my interpretation of what the song is about doesn't necessarily mean that's the right interpretation. So if I tell you that the song is actually about drugs and you thought it was about relationships, and it was this amazing song for you that was about relationships, and you were like, oh my God, this fixed my hole and blah blah, and then I'm like, oh, it was about drugs, and I ruin it for you. Like, who am I to do that? So I never tell people really what I think they're about. I love hearing what other people think and what other people's interpretations are.
Awesome.
But
it's not really my place to ruin that for somebody.
That was one of my favorite things about finding the band Tool in the early 90s was they didn't have their lyrics in their albums. You had to dig to find out what they were talking about, and it was always worth what you dug to find. It was, I'm seeing, like I said, what I've heard of you guys the last couple nights here, it's definitely a lot of nuggets to go digging through.
Well, thank you. Well, you know, what's funny about Tool is, like, I think even today I could probably walk by Maynard. I definitely could walk by the rest of the group members, and I wouldn't know who they were walking down the street. Maynard, depending on what he's wearing, I'd probably walk right by him too. But you know the truth, right? You know he's one of them, right?
Oh, of course,
sad,
of course.
Sad. Yep.
They are.
Yeah.
He says it.
I was disappointed when I found out.
I sold my soul to make a record, dipshit.
Well,
then you bought one.
It's called Tool.
For a reason.
That's true.
For a reason.
I've thrown it out there numerous times, man. If there's a crossroads you can go to, if there's a soul you can sell, mine is fucking for sale, man. If you want to give me the good life and let my kids have it good and all that stuff, give me the paper. I'll sign it, whatever. Whoever happens to be, if the devil's listening to this broadcast, come on through. I got a soul for sale.
Careful what you wish for.
Oh, I was going to say, my friend.
I'm not scared of any of that stuff.
Selling your soul doesn't mean your kids will be happy. They may commit suicide the next day because you're too successful or some shit like that.
Well, I'm never worried about me being too successful. So. Look at it. Can you guys see how badly we're getting sprayed here? I don't know if all of you guys can see the video feed right now, but my God, are we getting crushed here tonight?
Very similar here in the UK. Very similar.
It's insane. Well, that right in itself, there's no reason why Michigan skies and UK skies should be similar. You know, that in itself is a giveaway.
Yeah, everywhere I've seen them. Australia, Bulgaria, Guernsey, Jersey, you name it. Same thing.
Well, do you remember the day after the San Bernardino shooting, which again is, everybody focuses on whatever you want to focus on with that. I have one thing that I focus on, because I always it seems like I'm always looking at something a little bit differently than everybody else is. But for me, there's one piece of evidence with that is irrefutable, and I'm surprised that nobody is focusing in on it. But if you look at the footage of the bad guys driving their car, that they show you a couple of different shots of the bad guys driving in their car, the bad guys' headlights flash back and forth. Well, that doesn't happen with civilian cars. It's point blank, 100% evidence. There's no questioning. There's no conspiracy theory, nothing. Civilians can't have headlights that flash back and forth, or else they could pull people over. So why are the bad guys driving around in a police vehicle? All the rest of the stuff, the white guys turning into an Arabic couple and all that stuff, well, that's up for debate. We can all debate whatever we want. There's video evidence of the bad guys riding around in a police car, and I want to know why they're riding around in a police car. But the day after that, we had this fog descend upon Michigan, upon most of the northern United States. The UK got it. A lot of places got it. And it lasted like, I don't know, a month and a half, maybe 2 months, where we had fog every single day. And it was wintertime. It was cold. And they were trying to say that it was a cold fog, which that doesn't exist. Because, you know, if you know how fog works, fog doesn't exist from the cold. That's just doesn't work that way. There has to be a warmth to create the fog. But, I mean, you guys, you know, the idea that there's fog in Michigan, fog in California, fog in the UK, and it lasts for weeks and nobody talks about it, I mean, that just blows my mind.
Yeah, I think the amount of things we don't talk about is enough to blow our minds. But I guess that's why we're here. So
that's what
talk about the things.
I think respectfully, you know, we all know what it was. It was dust from the Sahara Desert that caused this. Simple thing. Put it away. Forget about it.
Stop watching those YouTube videos, damn it.
Well, you know, no, I spend all my time watching Game of Thrones. That makes me smarter.
That's it. Goodness. Well, are you paying attention to this madness in Vegas, man? I mean, what are you seeing with that? I can't wait to hear your song take on that one.
Well, I haven't made one about it, but to me, it was like when I first saw the video, it was like, okay, well, I clearly hear two guns going off. I'm not a gun person. I don't know. I'm not a firearms expert or anything, but even my layman stupid ears could hear two different guns going off. And it's not that I'm hearing, you know, I'm not hearing an echo or something like, I'm hearing bada 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 bada, you know, at the same time, and then
the occasional pop,
right,
pop,
and you start
and all at the same, too quick to be one person, yeah.
Right. Well, and you look at this, all the evidence, people coming out talking about there's multiple shooters, just the idea that You want me to believe? Listen, this is the part where it seems like I focus in on something that I don't know why everybody's not focusing on just this one thing. It's fucking Vegas. Like, if you not just disable your smoke alarm, but if you tamper with it a little bit, within a minute and a half, somebody's knocking on your door. So the idea that this guy not only disabled all his stuff and set up his room and then carried out this assault for 10 minutes and nobody was kicking his fucking door down, right there, it's like, okay, that's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
No, Jesus was there, man. Come on. Jesus kicked his door down. Haven't you heard?
No, I haven't. I if it's mainstream news, I haven't seen any of it. I don't even bother.
Just another point, guys. But isn't Vegas the show capital of the world?
Well, yeah.
What happened stays in Vegas.
Well, what I noticed is that the truther community seems to be compromised quite a bit, especially when it comes, like the one video that was recommended to me by YouTube and had 272,000 views was pushing the narrative that he was an undercover FBI agent selling arms for the government, and then it was an ISIS thing that went wrong, and ISIS then carried out the attack and then blamed. It's like, again, and then ISIS skirted out the back door. So you're telling me that for 10 minutes they carried out an attack and nobody bothered to kick the door in, and then some Arabic guys left a scene without getting stopped? They're Arabic, right? Yeah. And there's a shooting happening and Arabic guys are there. They're the first people getting detained. It doesn't matter if they're shot, they're still getting detained.
It's racial profiling, bro.
Yeah, well, I know how this country works. I'm not saying I would do it. I'm saying that's how this country works.
Damn right.
If there's an Arab anywhere near that motherfucker, it doesn't matter who or what he's doing. He could be screaming for his life, and they'd be like, "Oh, you have something to do with it. Come on now, get in the truck."
It's amazing that people can't look at this. I mean, I'm seeing more people in my friend group that have seen this whole thing and are questioning it more than anything. In fact, one of my diehard just refuses to think 9/11 could have possibly been perpetrated any other way than the official story. I mean, he is just hardline MSM. Even he is looking at this one and is just flabbergasted at the madness. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. The guy Jesus, who supposedly is the hero that 6 minutes beforehand, which has changed 3 times the story now, he was supposed to do a press conference for Fox News, for official news, Hannity, all of these guys. He bolted out the door, disappeared. Guess where he shows up? On the Ellen DeGeneres show, not 60 Minutes, not news, CNN, nothing. No, he shows up on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and she's got graphics. She's got the official line, the story, the pictures. Guess who's got a little casino slot machine at the Mandalay Bay? Guess. Ellen DeGeneres.
Not Ellen. Oh man! I was going to say not Ellen.
Yes, surprising her friend. One of the players on her machine at the Mandalay Bay. Guess who has a big stake and promotes the show? MGM, who owns Mandalay Bay. It's ridiculous. I mean, this is beyond ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, well, but again, it all ties back to Talmudic law. And if you know anything about the Talmud, the whole idea that this is just one big giant chicken with its head cut off running around and nobody really knows what's going on. Okay, if you look at the Talmud, and you see how this country works, we run by Talmudic law, no questions asked. And what you're saying about Ellen proves it point blank. I mean, the one person that's allowed to be the gay superstar, go figure. It's all just to me, it's all so obvious. It really almost bothers me anymore. Like 9/11. You know, you're a fucking idiot if you believe 9/11 the official story. There's no 2 ways about it. As you know, it's stupid, you know, and then they have us all so divided and in the truther community and things like that. But, you know, I'm a Dr. Judy Wood no planer as far as I'm concerned anymore. I don't really know what the fuck's going on. I don't know anything for certain. But as of right now, Dr. Judy Wood and the no plane theory seem to make the most sense to me from what I've seen. And, you know, if you have a better thing, then I'll watch it, and maybe that's the way I'll go from here on out. But right now, that makes the most sense to me.
What do you think about people like Luke Radowski?
I don't know who that is.
We Are Change. Luke Radowski.
Oh.
9/11 and 9/11 was an inside job, all that sort of stuff. I watched something recently this week.
Probably just a compromised agent. You know, if you're famous, if you especially if you've been on TV, if you've been on fucking mainstream TV, you've had a dick in your mouth. There's no doubt about that. You know, you're doing what you need to do to get where you need to get to be on TV. Like I was so distraught when the whole Ken O'Keefe thing happened. But at the same time, like, I was sort of unknowingly instrumental in his downfall. Because that, you know, there's no other way to describe what happened to Ken O'Keefe other than it was a tremendous downfall.
Can you give us a rundown on what you think happened with Ken O'Keefe? Because that's new to me.
First of all, the thing about Ken O'Keefe that nobody ever wants to sort of acknowledge is that he was literally captured by Mossad. And Mossad doesn't let people go. So the idea that they happened to let go of the guy that would then turn into Ken O'Keefe, world-renowned Jew hater, boy, that's fucking coincidental if you ask me. But let me tell you how this worked with me and Ken O'Keefe. So I always say that I'm the common man. By the time information gets to me, it's gotten to the common man. I'm not this guy that's like you see, you asked me Luke Radowski, and I don't, you know, I'm not the guy that's breaking fucking news. I'm the guy that sees all the dots and puts them together slightly differently than everybody else does, and proven wrong. But hang on a second. But with Ken O'Keefe, so I wrote my song. I discovered Ken O'Keefe 2015, kind of just before I got hurt, and then really started watching him. And when I first discovered him, I thought, oh my God, this guy's the fucking guy. He is saying all the right shit. You know, he's the guy. So then I write the song, the Samson Option, and I friend his page on Facebook, his official page, back when it only had 30,000 members, so you could still likely talk to somebody. So I send the friend request, and I'm like, hey, I wrote this song. I really like what you do. I'd really like to. I know Ken's not going to be the guy checking his page, but if you could get the song, I appreciate it, and I'd love to know what he thinks. So I didn't hear anything. You know, I might have heard okay, whatever, a sort of a generic response message, but nothing. So this was right at the end of his American tour, where he went to Berkeley and he did all these different things, and the last video that shows up from him during that time is in April of 2015. He is at some sort of coffee shop, and the JDL is outside. The Jewish Defense League is outside, and they've surrounded the place, and they're angry. And that's the last Ken O'Keefe sighting for a while. And right now, it's like, say, I've started the Bilderberg group and everything, so it's like June something. So, I start putting, and I've, you know, when I got hurt, I had 150 following, and or I had 150 friends and like 30 following. So in that time, me making my live videos and whatnot, that's how Josh found me. I've sort of built this following, and I pride myself in being somebody that tells it as true as I know it to be. It might be wrong, but I'm not selling porky pies in any way. I'm telling the truth as far as I know. So I start looking at the videos, and I'm like, hey, what the fuck? Where's Ken been? You know, it's June now. The last video is April. Isn't anybody concerned with where he is? You know, he's disappeared. And I start making live videos asking about it, and I start putting them out on Facebook. And they start getting thousands of views. Well, lo and behold, the Ken O'Keefe people all of a sudden reach out to me. Oh, hey, man, Ken listened to your song, and he really likes it. And we're going to put it on our page. And I'm like, hell yeah, right on. That's exactly what I wanted to happen. You know, I'm not a guy that's easily gotten. You can get me if you... I didn't... But when I did realize that's what had happened, it was like a week later, and I was like, wait a minute. I stopped making my Where is Ken O'Keefe videos because I didn't want to rock any boats. Because they put my song on their page, and I didn't want to make them mad. But there's still no Ken O'Keefe. I haven't heard anything else. You know, where is this guy? And it's not about anything anymore than this guy, as far as I'm concerned, is like a hero. You know, he's doing the right things. We, as his constituency, if you will, we need to know where the fuck he is.
Do we know where the fuck he is now?
Well, it comes up. So I start putting out more videos again right away. I'm like, oh fuck, that's what they did. They got me. They got me with ego. So I'm going to put out these videos. So I start doing it again. And I also, at the same time, run into Amanda Danielle. And I don't know if you're familiar with that fucking shill, Madison Star Moon, but that's a shill and a half too. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. But the Ken O'Keefe situation starts kind of snowballing way more than I thought it was. So I get Max Egan contacts me. You guys know who Max Egan is, I'm sure. Max Egan contacts me. Samantha Bachman, who is one of Ken O'Keefe's like behind the scenes people, contacts me. And both of them are like, you know, hey, don't tell anybody we're talking to you, but we want, you know, we see the videos that you're making, and we want to give you the inside scoop for some reason. Like, what they're trying, they think they're using me as a pawn. They think they're using me to make videos that they want me to make. But, you know, they don't. I know what's going on. I'm making these videos because I want to. So they tell me all of the stuff that's going to happen before it happens, about how Ken's going to release this huge manuscript, and he's going to deny all the responsibility, and he's going to blame everybody else, and you know, he's disappeared. He's in Colombia with some plot. He took all the money from the project that he raised, and now he's with this girl. He left his wife and his kid. Like, people don't know about that. Like, he was a happily married guy with a kid that he supposedly was a good dad and all that shit, and he just left for this young 20-something-year-old hooah. And I'm like, what, you know? So they're telling me all this stuff. So I start putting out these videos like, hey, all right, I'm not going to out the people, but I'm hearing all this information about Ken O'Keefe, and I really don't want it to be true. Please, Ken, if you're out there, please come out and refute this stuff, because nobody puts in all the effort that you put into being the truther guy and all that shit, getting to the point where Guy Williams knows you, a nobody like Guy Williams knows you. If you're that point, you don't just disappear once you get to that level, and then you just leave your online people just hanging. You know, if it was me and I got to the point where I was Ken O'Keefe status, it wouldn't matter. If I disappear for a day or two, you come looking for me. You don't just, you know, I don't just go on some vacation without saying, hey guys, I'm really burnt out. I need a couple days. Just I'll be back, and something like that. You don't just leave. So I'm putting out there these videos like, hey man, your absence is making you look guilty. Please come out. I am on your team. I want you to come out and refute this stuff more than anybody, please. So again, these videos are going around. I make a few of them. Finally, supposedly Ken responds to a video on his page, or so that I don't know, something happened where we're interacting, and what had happened was, like, the Kennonites, as I call them, they started coming out of the woodwork and attacking me and acting like I'm this shill and I'm this person that's trying to bring Ken down. And I'm like, hey, none of you guys seemed to care when he was missing. At least I cared where he was. I cared about this person. I don't care about the image. I cared about this person being missing. Mm-hmm. Nobody seemed to care about where he was. And now that I'm concerned and asking where he is, and now I'm asking him to please refute these things because I want to believe him, you guys are attacking me? Well, I get attacked, and then finally Ken comes out, and he does one of these long, again, I don't know if it's him or not. It's somebody that's speaking in his language, like they're using his words. You can take that to the bank, but he basically says, the things that I've done in the past should absolve me from any sort of questioning in the future. Anything I do, you guys should just trust me and just blah. And it was like, dude, you sound like Israel right now. I don't care what you did in the past. Your actions today are what you're held accountable for. And it just basically blew up from there. Like, it just right there, like when I responded and called him, said you're being Israel, that was it. They removed my page, they blocked me, and that was the end of my interaction with Ken O'Keefe. He also disappears for quite some time, and it wasn't until like a month or maybe 2 months ago that he reappeared out of the blue. He's just on RTV. Talking about North Korea and this and that, and like right back in the position that he was in before, like he hadn't been missing, or like nothing was wrong, and like again, he's on TV. So sorry for being so long-winded, but that's that story. It was
interesting.
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah.
That's interesting stuff.
I don't know.
And then, and Samantha, Max Egan, both Max Egan and Samantha Bachman, after it all, they distanced themselves, and it was all. I've had some of the weirdest, experiences being me and trying to, like, I don't understand how anybody can be a successful truther. With the stuff that happens with my Facebook page, and if you've watched my feed for more than a week or so, you can easily see what I'm talking about. I get the weirdest and the most censorship of anybody I've ever seen. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. It's confusing, and it's really weird for me. But, you can watch an Alex Jones video all day. You can watch a Stranger Than Fiction video all day. You can watch an Amanda Danielle video all day. It's not going to skip. It's not going to kick you off the feed. It's not going to do all those things like it will for me.
It is weird, Guy, that Max Egan and Ken O'Keefe were... they both snuck into Gaza, didn't they? And did an interview on the roof of a building in Gaza. What are your thoughts on Max Egan? He recently followed me.
I know what my interaction with Max was like. I was actually talking to him on the phone. He was in Peru when I was talking to him.
Oh, right.
And we were just going, we were kind of, and I was kind of talking to him about all of this. And, I got that feeling that I know I was being used. And again, it's like, okay, so I have 4,500 friends. And as of a little over a month ago, I had 2,200 plus following. in this last, I'm down to 1770 or 1670 something right now. So in the last month or so, I've somehow lost almost 500 following. My band page has also lost a bunch of following for some reason. With the trouble that I get trying to, and again, I'm not the guy breaking anything. I'm just the guy putting things together and talking about things the way I do. I make music that I give away that, from what I can tell, it's not garbage. It's definitely not rap, and it's definitely not rock. It's definitely not what you're used to hearing in the mainstream. I call it fourth album syndrome. Your favorite band releases their fourth album, and it's so far out there that you're like, what the hell? This is garbage. You throw it away. You put it down. 3-4 weeks later, you pick it back up. You give it another listen, and you realize, oh my God, this is their best work. Well, I think that the whole music industry is those first few albums, and we're that fourth album. So I think we might be off to you because you've never heard us before. But when you seriously start to listen, you're going to be like, holy shit, these guys are amazing. And when you look at my MySpace, my other band, My Head Radio, 46,000 fans on MySpace for a band where I'm in Detroit and they're in the Netherlands. We've never met. We're getting reviewed in magazines and all that shit. The band we have now, the Bilderberg Group, the idea that I've been interviewed by, I can't even tell you, 50 maybe stations like this. The idea that nobody's approached me, nobody's tried. I have poetry books. I have children's books. This band has 57 songs. My Head Radio had 40-something songs. The previous incarnation of this band had 23. I have well over 100 songs recorded. I have these followings. When my videos aren't getting tampered with as hard, I've had live feeds get 8,000 views in 2 hours.
Wow.
There's something here. I have something that's at least as marketable as death metal is to its niche people. I could have my own little niche audience, and I get nothing. I get no support from my truther community, none, and I get nobody ever approaching me like, hey, let's make some money together. That seems weird to me.
That's because you're probably talking too much truth, I should imagine.
Well, it's validating, I guess, but validating doesn't really
pay the bills.
Pay the bills.
It's not even pay the bills. It's more, I give my music away. For me, it's not about the money. It's not about the popularity. It's about this voice being louder and louder and louder. And, when you're doing this, and I do a video in the morning and it gets 1,700 views, and then I do a video at night and I'm like, holy shit, look at the sunset, and that video gets 60 views. It's like, how does that even happen? That doesn't make sense. It'd be one thing if it made sense, but it just, the disparity just doesn't make sense to me. And it's so obvious that they're tampering with me, and it gets to be quite disheartening at times, because how do you keep going? When you're walking around looking like,
it's quite obvious. It's not a level playing field. Most of us know this, that are trying to push out any truth about flat Earth or even discussion. It's just not a level playing field. We're being censored on YouTube. We're being algorithmed out of things. We're being shadow banned. You name it. You're just not going to get it out there on the mainstream channels. It's going to be back end cult stuff,
Well, that was the whole plan with the music. Is music crosses all the cultures, and if we can get them, if we can get a song that's popular, if I can get one of my songs to break mainstream, that'll bring enough people in that it'll make that voice louder. And maybe I'm not that guy. Maybe it's my kids. Maybe I'm just the pebbles at the top of the fucking mountain to get the avalanche going. I don't care. But as long as something happens from it, it's the idea that I'm just gonna die one day and just be that guy that tried. That's irritating. That's irritating as shit.
Yeah.
Especially when I hear what's out there.
We all can identify with what you're saying quite well here at the Iron Realm, sir. We've been at this quite a while. We've put out what we consider some quality stuff, some very deep experimentation, some eye-opening unveiling of things we've discovered, some chats about just ideas, and I mean, we've had people who have literally been subscribed to us since day one that haven't, they don't get our notifications when we go live on Friday. When you try to find us and search us out, you literally have to type our full name in. I mean, it's like you say, shadow banning. And there you go. I mean, it's
on Hangouts, and I couldn't find the Iron Realm Media. That's why I sent you the message saying, giving you my address, because I literally typed in Iron Realm Media, and I searched Google and it didn't come up.
Yeah, we're on our year anniversary right now. We've been out doing this on YouTube a year. This around this time of year. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. It's sort of validating, because we're worthy of censorship. But you're right, it's certainly not very satisfying.
No, it's very frustrating.
Yeah, that's it. It's validating, it's not satisfying. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I'm at the point now where I don't need any more validation. People send me, chemtrail videos, or they'll send me flat earth videos or whatever. And it's like, you don't need to prove it to me anymore. I'm fucking sold. 100%. I'm not going to say I know what we live on. I'm going to say I know it's definitely not a ball spinning through space.
That's it.
That's where I'm at. I don't really know. I think it's a dome. I think I've seen the dome. You guys want to hear the dome story?
Oh yeah.
You'll love this story. All right. So I was in Northern California. This is when I lived in Northern Cal. I was up in Willits in Mendocino County for all of my weed heads out there. And, I was partying real hard, fucking wasted. Woke up at 3 a.m, 2:33 to take a pee. Stood outside. I'm standing there taking a pee, and I look up, and I see this star, and instantly what I thought was, that star is malfunctioning. I didn't think it was a UFO, and this is 13, 14 years ago. This is long before I had any sort of flat earth anything in my head. I would have argued till I was blue in the face that we lived on a ball, because I loved watching every space documentary I could get my hands on. I was all about it. So at that point in my life, I would have never thought anything flat earthy. But I wake up, I'm peeing, I see this star, and it's, if you can imagine, I don't know, again, if you guys can still see me, but it would be like basically a cell phone screen. And if the star was staying in the borders of the screen and just moving like this, just like if you had your hand on your mouse and you were wiggling it all around, that's sort of what it looked like was happening. So again, I thought there's no way there's anything inside that. They would be scrambled if they were moving that fast and in that many directions. So it's, like I say, it's staying within a clear border. I can see that it's not leaving this border. And I'm like, I am wasted. There's no way this is real. So my friend who I was staying with, he was older than me. He had his family up there, wife, brother, sister, like it was a family reunion. So there was people from 50 years old down to 7 years old were there. And I went through and woke everybody up. Like, you guys, there's something in the sky. You got to see this. This is crazy. I don't want to be crazy. Come validate what I'm saying. So they all come out, and sure as shit, everybody else sees it. They see that this thing is there. So I know I'm not hallucinating. So as the night progresses, I mean, obviously people right away, they're, okay, whatever, and they go back to bed. I sit down. This is the most fascinating thing I've ever seen, so I'm going to watch it. Other people sort of peel off and go to bed, and then eventually I'm just sitting there by myself. Well, I watch as the stars do their progression. They all move through their place, and everything's progressing like it normally would. But this one star is staying put. It's moving like crazy, but it's staying in this one spot in the sky. And all the other stars will pass through it and everything, and it doesn't affect the other stars or anything. It's just this one malfunctioning star. So as the dawn starts to happen, as the sun starts to rise, like the sky is probably about this color actually. I noticed that the square that the star was staying in, I could kind of see it. It was like it was a shade darker than the rest of the sky was. So it was slowly getting lighter, but this one square was just a touch darker. Like you really had to look to see it, which you could definitely see that this square was darker. And then, that only lasted like 15, 20 minutes because sunrise is pretty quick. And then, everything faded away and it was blue sky. And I didn't think anything of it. It was like, I have the greatest UFO story in the world, but I didn't think it was a UFO. So I never had that UFO feeling. So I just kind of put it back in my memories and it was just gone. I never brought it up or anything. Well, a couple of years ago after I got hurt and I started, I had a lot of time to be home looking at shit. I figured I was smart enough to debunk the flat earth. I'm finally gonna give it a shot. And I watched Mark Sargent's Under the Dome, and it was the night before he did Coast to Coast for the first time. And I know this because I called him because he used to, I don't know if he still has his number on the end of the things, but he used to have his personal number at the end of the video and he would invite people to call him. So I was up late. It was like 3 a.m. here. And I called him and he answered. It was midnight. And we started talking and he's telling me, he's doing the Coast to Coast tomorrow. He's really surprised by how much this is blown up and all that. And I tell him about this story, and it was like, when I was telling him, it was like, holy shit, I saw the fucking dome. I saw it. There's no questioning. I saw a broken panel. The panel was broken. It wasn't the star that was broken. The panel was broken. And I for me, when you accept that you live under a dome and that this is, so I'm going to go off for just a second here, but my favorite argument is television. When you look at how television has progressed in the last 100 years, like, okay, if any one of us got beamed back 150 years ago right now, and we got beamed back to the highest group of people, a room full of elites, and we had to explain to them the conversation we are having right now, how it's working, not only what we are doing in this conversation, but what we're like. I'm looking at all these cars and the lights are on and these houses with lights on and there's TV and whatever you guys are doing in your lives, including this conversation. If you got beamed back 150 years from today and you had to explain it, you wouldn't even be able to communicate with them. They wouldn't even have a base set of words to be able to get across what we're doing right now. You'd be like, well, it's like electricity, and they'd be like, well, what's electricity? You'd be like, well, it's like lightning. We kind of catch lightning and we put it in a box and we have these wires, and they're like, well, what's wires? And you're like, you'd be trying to use as basic of words as you could, and you still wouldn't have any sort of concept. You wouldn't be able to get across any of it they wouldn't have a clue as to what you're talking about because they just don't have the frame of reference. Well, you look at televisions and what, 100 years ago, people were sitting around a radio, watching a radio. And now here we are, 2017, you can go to Walmart and for $800 you can buy a curved screen TV that looks like a window. It literally is as clear as a window. That's how much technology has progressed in this short 100-year span. So imagine 150 years from now, or 200 years, or 300 years from now. Imagine them trying to explain to our feeble minds the technology that's behind the dome. we couldn't even begin to understand what the fuck it is. The idea. Well, how do they build a planet? Well, how do they build the water? Well, how do they build this? I don't fucking know. But I know that if I was trying to explain this conversation to somebody 150 years ago, they'd have the same dumbass look on their face. So the idea that we live in this dome, to me, it incorporates everything. Because most flat earthers, they'll rule out aliens, or they'll rule out this, or they'll rule out that. Well, for me, the dome sort of encompasses everything. It encompasses all the silly religious stories, and then it also encompasses aliens. And for me, I think most of the aliens that are seen, most of the lights in the sky that are seen, are probably maintenance crew. Because somebody has to maintain this motherfucker. Somebody has to fix the broken panels. Somebody has to maintain the plumbing underneath, make sure all the waters work right, and the heat works right, and all that shit, and the sun and the projectors are all working right. So I think most of the aliens we see are just maintenance crew. I think the next most that we see are probably scientists or whatever. They're the ones that are turning shit inside out and abducting people and all that, because this is their thing. This is what they do. And then every once in a while you'll see like a really obvious shot, like the 1959 where at the Capitol building where the ships go right behind the Capitol building, or you'll see the Mexican ones where it's a big fleet of UFOs, and it's during the daytime, and it's like they just don't give a fuck. Well, those are probably like the embassy people. Those are probably like the leaders and shit who just don't give a fuck, and they're going to meet with whoever, and I'm not fucking hiding from these monkeys. They don't give a fuck. So they fly in, they do whatever. And then I think every once in a while, you'll get your resistance group that they don't know how to communicate with us. Because again, this could just be an experiment to see how humanity would progress. So they put us in a dome, they come down, they make us in their image, just like the Bible says, and all these other accounts say basically the same thing. And maybe this is just like I think South Park kind of did it the best with the Jewsians and the Earth, the Earth gets canceled. Maybe this is all just a TV show. And maybe that's why guys like us, we stay where we are, because our TV show, our character is supposed to struggle. That's what our audience wants to see, is our character continue to struggle. So every time it's like something awesome is on the horizon and then something fucking weird just happens and blows it all to pieces, well, it's because we're not supposed to be successful. We're not allowed to be. Our character is supposed to stay this way. But maybe that resistance group is coming in and maybe they don't know how to communicate with us, because obviously we form our own languages as time progresses. So they're doing their best, and they're using crop circles. And that's what crop circles are, is this resistance group that's coming in and trying to communicate with us. And every once in a while they'll get shot down or they'll get chased or whatever. And, that covers the range of the aliens that have more than been proven. It's like anybody that denies it anymore, you're a fucking idiot. Because there's been accounts for hundreds and thousands of years. So to deny it all is just crazy. But that's sort of my little Gaianistic take on things. I don't know.
Wow. My goodness, brother. You have just blown my mind in many, many ways. I did a lot of this UFO research myself quite a few years ago. And yeah. So the whole take more is that this is a maintained area by them. Is that your take?
Well, I have my own, like I say, this is sort of my own little theory, but I don't buy slavery, and I don't buy the Native American genocide and all that stuff. The thing about history is anything over 150 years old is hearsay. And even then, most of the stuff that you know from history is just given to you. You didn't experience it. You don't know. And then even then, two people can see the exact same, like ask any detective. Two people can witness a murder and they will tell you two completely different stories. So the idea that the history that we have is accurate is crazy. But what we're taught to believe is that somehow Christopher Columbus, with no map, and the belief that, you know, most people believed he'd fall off the edge of the flat earth, that he somehow braved this impossible fucking journey. He landed here. That the people here were just so fascinated by the white man because they just happened to have white gods that they swam out to the boat with gifts. And that sort of started the whole process. But then the Pilgrims came, and the Pilgrims were trying to do the same thing. This is a funny thing. I don't know if most people realize this story, but the Pilgrims were trying to sort of follow the same path, but they got blown off course. And that's why they landed on Plymouth Rock. Well, what's funny is the whole area around Plymouth Rock, huh?
I need food.
Okay.
They're eating, drinking.
Okay.
The water's boiling.
Okay. The whole area around Plymouth Rock was supposedly completely decimated by flu and all that. So there was no Native Americans around. That's why when they landed there, it was supposedly there was nobody around, and that's why they were able to build. Because you know, something you never actually think about is, hey, if they landed here, how come they weren't just killed right away? How come the natives didn't just slaughter them or whatever? Well, it's because there were no natives there. It just so happened to be the one place they landed. There were no natives, but a guy who happened to be kidnapped as a young by white men was taken to Europe, learned the languages and the customs and all that stuff so he could communicate with all these white people. He just happened to be walking along and came across these white people. And he was able to help them because he just happened to know the fucking language. He just happened to know how to communicate. It's just amazing, the coincidence. But then we're taught to believe that over the next 500 years, that Native Americans, when white people landed here, there were supposedly 100 million plus Native Americans here, surviving that first winter, supposedly. And then for the next 100 years, those numbers sort of, you know, the native fell and the white people gained. Well, what I have to believe is that at year 100, year 150, year 200, the natives have been decimated down to 50 million. And say there's 100,000 white people at this point. Natives still, they're so stupid, they just keep trading away the land. They don't believe in owning. There's no ownership of land, even though they don't believe that. They trade away the ownership for beads because they's just so stupid. And they just keep doing it. And when their numbers have been killed down to 50 million or even 20 million, and there's not even close to that number of white people yet, at no point did the Native Americans just get together and be like, hey, fuck these white people, let's kill them all and get them the fuck out of here. They renege on everything. They're horrible. They treat us like shit. They sell us poison blankets and all that. Let's just kill them, and we don't need to deal with this. That never happened. What also never happened is black people. There were plantation after plantation full of black people. There'd be hundreds of black people on a plantation and one white family. It'd be one man, and maybe he'd have 2 or 3 boys. And he'd have a couple daughters and his wife. And that white man could then go to any slave's house, and he could walk in that motherfucker. He could rape the wife. He could steal the babies. He could just do whatever he wanted to do. And the black man would just take it because he knew his place. He'd just take it and go to work the next day. At no point did black people ever decide, hey, fuck that. There's a lot more of us. We're in really good shape. Let's just take over this plantation and kill these white people. Never happened. So what we're taught to believe is that the world works this really sort of strange way. Because like I look at it like my grandfather is should have been an Olympic champion, but wasn't allowed to go because he was black. So I straight asked him, because he thinks I'm crazy all the time. I said, all right, Papa, let me ask you this. You tell me the situation that you're going to sit there and let the white man come in, rape your wife, and take your children without you dying to stop that from happening. And he was like, well, you got a point there. And I was like, okay, so what we're taught to believe is that happened everywhere, all the time, forever. Black people knew their place. They knew up until the advent of the video camera. Once history gains the video camera, everything fucking changes everywhere. Isn't that weird? Isn't it weird that we're taught to believe that the world basically worked the same way for fucking thousands of years? That white people were basically, white Christians were kind of like in charge. Nobody really questioned it. Everybody just sort of accepted the shitty way it was. But then the video camera came around, and the ability to prove it. You can show me a video of a plantation and the white man doing this and this and that and the other. Show me that video. Well, just when that happens, it just all happens to stop. Go figure. These are the same people that tell me 6 million Jews died in a Holocaust when there was only 3 million registered Jews in Europe in the first place at that time. So I don't know where the fuck they get the 6 million from. And especially since damn near everybody I know is a survivor of a fucking Holocaust. So how the fuck did all these people survive when 6 million of them died? You know, the World Census report says prior to the war, there were 15 million Jews. During the war, there were 16 to 17 million Jews. After the war, there were 18 million Jews. Where the fuck the 6 million went? I guess the World Census report didn't think to cover it. But still, I mean, it's the same people that tell you all these other lies. They tell you that that's how history works. And we accept that history. We accept the history of a civil war. Think about this. The Civil War, you're taught that there are numerous occasions where 2, 3, 4,000 people died in a battle. There are even handfuls of occasions where 20, 30, even 40,000 people died in one battle, right? Where the fuck are all those bodies? Shouldn't there be huge mass graves literally everywhere, considering that many people died? And you're taught to believe that at nighttime during the Civil War days, that these were gentlemen. And at nighttime, they would go out, and that was when everybody was allowed to collect their dead and collect all the belongings and stuff. There was a nighttime truce. That's what we're taught. So what we're taught to believe is somehow 3,000 people die, 4,000, 5,000, 20,000 people die in an age where there's no electricity, there's no machinery, there's nothing. And what? The little couple coroners cleaned it up? Who cleaned that up? Where did all those fucking bodies go? And just like there's no bodies for the Holocaust, well, there's no fucking bodies for the Civil War. There's no bodies for any of that shit. And a lot of people supposedly died. The thing is, we can't really grasp that. The idea that there are 20,000 dead bodies, 30,000, 40,000 dead bodies, casualties of war, and they're all around you, and you got to clean that up? Who's doing that? You never hear that story, do you?
I think you don't hear a lot of stories. I think you alluded to earlier about 150 years. I would suggest the past 100 odd years is all about shaping the next paradigm, and the previous years to that is all about structuring the current paradigm they want people to live in. None of it necessarily relating to the actual history that occurred.
It's amazing how much smarter you sound just because of your accent.
I hope you get the point, though. I think history. I mean, look, reality-wise, nothing exists prior to 500
I'm
years
totally
ago,
with you.
historically, documentary-wise. There is nothing legal or historical that exists prior to the late 1400s. Everything else is a document made after that, which, if you look at, is about structuring the current world order, which is the past 500 years as we're culminating in. That's the purpose. I don't try to second guess history. What I do know is that whatever we're told is not going to be the truth. It's there to elicit specific responses. You alluded to slavery and the likes, and there's certainly certain questions I would ask with regards to the presence of black people in the Americas well before the advent of white people coming up with the cunning idea of shipping people over there. Olmec heads and the likes, certainly suggest a dominant black presence, certainly in the Caribbean and North America, well before the Europeans got there. So
it is a good point.
I don't believe any of it. Like I say, I think it's highly likely that our world was constructed a couple hundred years ago, and everything else is just sort of programmed in. Maybe it was other versions of the Matrix, if you will, that they just incorporate into the programs. But I just don't buy it, man. Slavery just seems like, when I look at it now, when I look at people now, I cannot imagine, especially black people, I cannot imagine them being slaves. Willing fucking slaves, just do every day. No, don't make a massa mad. I just can't imagine that shit. I can't imagine Native Americans never decided to fucking end this whole thing. At 100 years, 200 years, they never thought, man, these guys are assholes.
If you want,
Let's get out of here.
Seconds to turn on the mainstream media, watch a little bit of TV. What you'll see are some slaves scared to make massa mad, but they're so brainwashed and conditioned they don't even realize they're slaves yet.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, but they're living great lives. That's that's the difference. It's not the idea. See, it's one of those things that it's kind of hard, and I'm not knocking you guys at all, because there's no comparison really to be able to relate it to. But the idea that somebody comes in and rapes your wife in front of you and then steals your children and you go to work for him the next day, that's not real.
Problem is, Guy, I would turn around and say, we're in that exact situation at the moment. Every single one of us on Earth is being fucked by massa, by our slave master.
Figuratively.
Well, figuratively, yes, okay, as opposed to physically.
Literally watching your wife scream out and cry, looking at you in terror, watching your children getting taken out the door and they're looking at you like, "Daddy, protect me,"
Well, yeah, sure, but that's actually happening today as well. I mean, they're literally in the UK anyway. They're taking your children. If you talk about these sort of things, if you're a flat earther, there's been cases of flat earthers having their children taken away from them by the SS, the social services over here in the UK. It's easy to look back on a history, and I agree with you absolutely. That it's highly unlikely that people would put up with this sort of thing, but this is exactly what we're putting up with today. Whether it's figuratively or it's happening, it is actually happening. We're having terror attacks that aren't terror attacks. They're assassinating personalities. They're censoring us. We're getting fucked over by our taxes and paying taxes on taxes on taxes of everything. And like you say, the next day we get up and we go to work for these people. It's got to come to a point.
Is it's not like you have to think about it too. Like a plantation would be a whole plantation of flat earthers, right? There's a whole plantation of flat earthers. We're all in agreement. We're basically family because we've been forced into this situation together. Yet every once in a while we let one person come in and just fuck everything up.
with respect, dude. Yeah, I never been there. Yeah, but what I would suggest is the only analogy I could draw to it is some of the things where you see children kidnapped at birth, like with the schnitzel in a, and actually that becomes a reality. And if you grow up in a reality, it's very easy for people outside of the reality all you've been exposed. It's like the thing is cave.
You're talking Stockholm syndrome, 100%. No, I see what you're saying.
I'm talking deeper. I'm talking a much deeper reality to that. I forget the person's name, but there's a Plato's cave is the analogy. Okay.
Oh, I love it. I love that you said that. That's one of my favorite analogies. I love that you brought that up. Go ahead, say it.
So with that analogy in mind, that's a reality. So it's easy for those outside of the paradigm to say, I would smash the master. If you don't have the ability to stand outside, and there isn't an internet, there's just the plantation. That's all there is, and there's always been for your parents, your grandparents. I think it's a little, and I do suggest there's more to the history than we're told, but I do think to question what those people were doing is probably not fair on them, put simply. You know, I think it's probably an outsider's perspective of what you would do as opposed to what even they could consider.
Well, I think it's as fair as us criticizing ourselves, saying, you know, what the fuck are you doing? You're letting your government vaccinate you with poisons. You're letting the government spray you. They're feeding you GMO bullshit.
Vaccines is a great example, isn't it?
But
your
way
debt
they do,
slaves, everything.
You know, they're doing it though, and they have it well disguised as cotton candy.
It's
you're getting fed GMOs,
tiptoe.
but it tastes good. Whereas before, it wasn't like they thought they were living a good life. They knew they were living the shit. And again, what's crazy to me though is how it all like sort of instantly changes with the development of proof. So when you can actually prove that there are these plantations that existed and all this other shit with a video camera, that's when it all just happens to fucking go away. And it goes away really, really fast. You know, so I hear what you're saying. Believe me, even a year ago, I'd be arguing the exact same point as you are. But it's like, since then, one of the things that happened for me was I happened to have the volume on the TV off, and I flipped through an award show, and then I happened to flip the channel to a government something or other. But I watched both of them with the sound off, and they were the exact same thing. Yeah. It was obvious to me that it's all just a play. It's all pre-scripted play nonsense. It's like the Kim Jong-un thing happened. So what we're told is that out of the blue, for no reason whatsoever, Kim Jong-un threatens the United States, which is basically, I use this analogy a lot, but let's say you're in prison for 20 years. You know the layout of the prison. You know how everything works. There's one guy in the prison. He's 10 feet tall. He's 500 fucking pounds. He knows every form of karate, jiu-jitsu in the world. And the guards let him have a baseball bat with razor blades in it. You're there with your family. Your kids and your wife are right there with you. And there's nobody else around. What are you going to do? What situation would convince you to walk up and flick that guy in the nose as hard as you can? Knowing your family's there and everything, knowing that they could just get wiped. That's North Korea fucking with the United States.
Yeah,
I can totally see them
Essentially, I agree. I mean, I agree with you. Other than the fact that we can't really prove anything in history beyond, the generations that are alive at the moment to us. But I think where I probably disagree or would take it further is that we're in no better state. We're in absolutely no better state than the times that you're talking about, 100, 150 years ago.
Where we definitely disagree. I am not I'm trying a new leaf on new way of doing things, and I'm not the death, doom, and gloom guy. I think right now is by far the best time to be alive, especially for anybody other than a white Christian. Like for a gay or a person of color or a woman or whoever. Right now is easily you have more rights as a citizen, even if it's all controlled and even if it's all bullshit. People of color, women, all that, we have way more rights than we ever had before.
Yeah,
Not to mention,
I wouldn't say we're better off or worse off. I would say we're on a knife edge. We have the technological ability to turn this around.
John, I would say that whole statement is relative to the paradigm that you've just painted.
Well, no, but you like I look at it like, look, right now, what you and I, what all of us are doing, this is amazing. We're the first generation to be able to do this. And when I get off the phone, I'm gonna go in my house with the lights on and watch some TV and get in my bed. And the heat, if it's a little too cold, I'll turn the heat on, and if it's a little too hot, I'll turn the air conditioning on, and I'll go in my refrigerator and I'll get some food, and I'll go tuck my kids in their comfy beds, and nobody's gonna break in my house, and no animals are gonna get me. I don't have to fucking kill my food. None of it. This is the best time to ever be alive. There are just psychopaths that are in control. But for the first time ever, we have the ability to all of us have the ability to communicate and fight back. We've never been able to do anything even close to this before. So this is easily the best by far best time to be alive, because we can do something. You know, we're all connected by energy. It's beautiful.
At the moment, they control the channels that we communicate on, like this channel.
Yeah.
For now.
But right now, we're way closer to obtaining that control from them than we ever have been.
Yes, sir.
There's definitely the idea that I could say the word chemtrail and, 50% of the population has heard the term before, whereas even 10 years ago, people would be like, what are you talking about? That's progress.
Well, that's what I mean.
False flag, that's another one. Ken O'Keefe says that false flag is another thing.
That's what I mean, is that we're on a knife edge. We're literally on the precipice. We're on the knife edge. We've got the technology to turn this around. It's just how we use it. I mean, Aldous Huxley has laid out saying that, we would love, at some point, they'll build a society where we love our servitude. And that's exactly the society we're in. Okay, we're not cold, we're not hot, we're not hungry, we're not scared of intruders, immediate danger, but we have turned into slaves that love our servitude. We love our iPhones, our TV, our convenience foods, our pop a pill medicine debacle.
Anything to take their mind off being property.
Absolutely.
But I would hope we're at the kind of
I wouldn't trade it
point, guys.
Would you trade it? What time in history would you rather be in?
I think if you was to, the point I was going to make, I think we're at the kind of Neo point, which is kind of like when you find out it's the sixth, the one. What history's littered with events, the 60s, the 1800s, the Reformation, lots of points where humanity has rose and still to a level of consciousness. You say, "Oh, I can talk about chemtrails." I would suggest to you that in the late 1500s, you could say the corruption of the Catholic Church, and everybody would have a full understanding in terms of their relativeness. I think there's times when humanity rises, and history shows that those have been
but those people
quelled, those risings.
Those people never had.
And that maybe is the point, isn't it? That there's an opportunity now with the way we can. Martin Luther might have said the same thing with the printing press and the way he disseminated the information in the Reformation. It was an opportunity like never before. Again, it was quelled. And
look, Adam, go back to the 1900s, and you've got someone or a group of people threatening to take the head of education of UK government to threatening actually to burn him alive because he's teaching Ball Earth. Ball Earth. And that was 1900.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So, I mean, you know, can I go and take the head of education in the UK to court? Can I even get him to court at this moment? No, I can't. I might be able to talk about it. I might be able to say everything about it, but I can't threaten to take him to court and have it actually go down in black and white print newspaper that I can take him to court for teaching
You can't
my
threaten to burn him
children
to
the
death.
Earth is a ball.
Well, but the thing is, see, this is the new method that I'm sort of trying, like with the chemtrails. Look, we've already tried scaring the shit out of people. It doesn't work. Most people, when you start talking about chemtrails are poison or chemtrails are this or they're using HARP to ramp up the storms or this, whenever you talk about anything and it's a scary situation, people are going to go, you fucking conspiracy theorist, get out of here. And you're going to shut them down. They're going to shut you down. However, if you were to say, hey, you know how they had that technology back in the 70s and the 60s where they would brag about being able to rain out the Vietnamese? Remember how they would talk about cloud seeding? And we've all known they've had cloud seeding forever. So why aren't they using the cloud seeding to rain out the forest fires? And they go, oh man, yeah, that, it's not scary, it's positive. And it's still, because as soon as they go looking into it, they're going to get all that fear nonsense. You say to them, hey, you know that there's this technology called HARP. Kennedy talked about it. There's the Disney film they've had it forever. It's a real technology. You can look it up. So why aren't they using this technology that can manipulate weather? Why aren't they just shooting the hurricanes with a little blast and either weakening them or destroying them or shooting them off path? Why aren't they doing that?
I agree with you. I think we need to change tack. Like you say, we can't scare the fuck out of people because they're too comfortable. Right. We need to break it to them in different ways that it actually affects them or it's affecting something around it, like Wi-Fi and like brain cancer and Wi-Fi and fluoride and bone cancer and this sort of thing. I mean, that's scaring people again. But it's one of these things that we need to review our tack and realize that trying to scare people doesn't work.
Well, that, and they've made life hard. They've made our lives, our 8-hour, 10-hour work weeks, our school, everything, we're all just barely surviving. We're all just barely getting by. Even the people doing well, they're barely getting by because they're barely able to maintain where they are.
Yeah,
so
and it's getting worse.
The idea that you tell people that, even the shit that you control, that they have this idea that the life that they control is hard. You're trying to tell me that the government is also trying to make it harder on me? And people are, fuck no. They're going to have an instant, look, my life is hard enough without having to think about the fact that I'm getting sprayed to death.
Well,
but
it's like you mentioned Stockholm Syndrome. That's pure
but
Stockholm
if you say to
Syndrome.
them, hey, this could benefit you. You know how you have family that's getting their houses burnt down, or family in Florida that's getting flooded out? Well, this stuff could help them. So why aren't we using this? And if you put it to people like that, we might actually be able to knock down one of those walls. Stop it.
Well, that's an interesting point. I mean, it was funny because, I mean, we talk about, on bringing it back to flat Earth, we're talking about aeroplanes being tracked in the southern hemisphere. Now, I know I'm going off on a complete tangent here, but
please,
the fact is that no one was particularly bothered about airplanes being tracked by GPS in the southern hemisphere until MH370, and then someone said, well, hold on a minute,
Malaysia one.
Yeah, right. but
that the Malaysia airplane?
Yes, it is. Yeah, but it was only when that went missing that it came out, and the flat earthers stepped in. That it came out that planes weren't tracked by GPS in the southern hemisphere, and that alone outraged. Sparked complete outrage, because it was like, this was a safety thing, and it wasn't the fact that nothing was tracked in the southern hemisphere. It's the fact that why
what's
wasn't
funny
this
about
tracked?
that Malaysia flight? That Malaysia flight had 99 AIDS researchers on it who had just come up with a breakthrough.
Yes,
Nobody
it
ever
did.
talks about that.
Yes, sir.
And the patent was owned by Rothschild.
Yes, sir.
Right. Nobody ever talks. But what's funny too is I have an aunt who is a flight attendant, and I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago I was talking with her all about this, and I was talking with my grandfather again, and he thinks I'm crazy about this flat Earth stuff. Well, I was asking her. I said, "Okay, well, you tell him. Do they track the flights?" And she's like, "No, it's really weird, and the travel times are all really weird." This is a flight attendant telling me this shit. You would think if the Earth is fucking round, a flight attendant is gonna easily debunk a non-flight attendant just like that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to argue with her.
Hey guys,
best mates
I have to cut out. I have to head out. I've got to get out of here. I want to thank you so much for being on here tonight. Just for me personally, I know y'all aren't leaving, but I have to. Guy, it's been amazing. You have just. What you should do is take all your audio from this last hour or so and just turn it into your next song, man. This has been some great stuff. Thank you so much, my brother.
Thank
you guys,
very much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
See you all soon, but I have to go. I love you all. You guys
Cheers,
have a
Walt.
great night.
Catch you later. Thanks, mate.
Yes, sir.
Later,
Thanks,
brother.
guys.
Thanks so much for all your work.
I think the point I was making is that it wasn't the fact that planes aren't tracked in the southern hemisphere by GPS. They're just that fact alone that got anyone bothered. It was the fact that a plane went down and then they found out that none of them were tracked by GPS. That's what got them bothered. So it's finding the right key strings to pull or pluck in order to get.
I don't know anybody that knows that outside the flat Earth community anymore. That the Malaysia flight has been plucked from our consciousness, like the reporter that got shot in the face on live TV, like the Facebook shooter a couple of weeks ago that supposedly killed 13 people, but he didn't, and then he supposedly killed that old man, and he spun around with his gun, and the film got edited. All of these things, they just get plucked from our memory. People don't even. I guarantee most people won't even remember the Malaysia flight if you bring it up to them.
No, it gets brushed into the bin of crazy conspiracy theory.
Right. And that AIDS bullshit, that stuff with the AIDS, like the funny thing about AIDS, again, it goes into every little thing out there. When you start looking into it a little bit more, you realize there's something completely different going on. AIDS is one of those things too. Did you guys know that there's absolutely no connection between HIV and AIDS? Did you know that? It's fucking insane. It sounds like I'm crazy. I get it. But there are numerous researchers out there that are trying to bring this to the forefront. To the AIDS, to people with HIV, is the AIDS medication. That's the thing that's killing people, because that kills it's a DNA terminator, so it kills all of your DNA and it gives you AIDS. The medicine is what gives you AIDS. The medicine is what shuts down your body.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
They don't do that. They don't tell you that.
It's the same as cancer. It's the medicine that's giving you the cancer.
Right.
Or
not even not just the cancer, but the symptoms.
Yeah, sure. It doesn't even need to be cancer. It just has to look like it.
You just need to be diagnosed as that.
Shit. My wife called and threw off my speakerphone. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Now.
I know you do this all the time because I see you go live all the time on Facebook.
Yeah.
Let's end it here, and we will have you back on. And I
Cool.
have a feeling we will probably just pick right back up where we left off, and be able to
Awesome.
not miss a beat.
Yeah, no, I would much rather talk about this stuff than anything else, and I just don't understand how anybody else how you could be any different, you know.
I appreciate your
this
energy,
is the important stuff. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me on.
Nope, I love your passion. I love it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely.
brother. Next time I'll have to tell you about my birthday and really blow your mind.
Guy, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, mate. A real interesting chat. I'm going to listen to the rest of. I'll maybe not get through all. What did you say? Was it 59 tracks or something?
57.
57.
Yeah, www.the-Bilderberg BILDERBERG-group.com. Just go there, click download. It'll ask you how much you want to pay. You can click 0, and it's free. It's free. All we ask is that you share it with people. Facebook.com/the Bilderberg Group official, all one word. Guy.Williams.3. Come join the everyday discussions. I go live all the time, and we talk about the same shit. So if you can prove my shit is always an open invitation to prove me wrong. If you can prove me wrong, please do.
Guy,
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thanks for coming on. I got all your links in the description, so they should be able to just find all your stuff right there.
Cool, man. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And I'm going to go out tonight with Leisure Sweet Larry too. So
awesome.
I can hear that one again.
Stick around,
you
guys, if you want to hang around. We got some other stuff to discuss, but yeah, feel free to stick around, mate.
No, you know what? I got to get my kids to bed. It's 8:00 here, so I got to do the dad thing. I do appreciate you guys coming, having me on, and everything. But we'll pick back up the next time. Cool.
Cool.
Nope, that is
nice one.
Cool. I love. Yes, thank you.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, guys.
Mate.
All right, have a great.
All right, have a good night, guys.
All right, till next time.
Later.
All right. Guy Williams, everybody, from the-Bilderberg-group.com. Find him on Facebook. All of his links are in the description. Check him out. He's always got some good stuff to say. His spoken word stuff, I really dig it. Just keep listening. Those things. Yeah, you listen the first time. He calls it a moose style. So it's you may not really get it at first, but give it a shot. Give it a few listens, and I think it's going to grow on you. It certainly did me. So thanks a lot to Guy, and I can't wait to hear from him next time he's on. That was awesome. All right, John, what else we got lined up? We got some really good links coming up, don't we?
Adam, back over to Adam, I think. Yeah. Did we lose James?
I think we did lose James.
Lost James and Rob.
Yeah, Rob had to go do something about work. I don't know. Something.
Guy kick a football around or something. Adam, take us away.
Yeah, I don't know if we were having a break and playing Leisure Suit. Sweet.
If you want, we certainly can take a little break. I could certainly use a coffee and tell everybody hello upstairs. I'm sure they might appreciate that.
Yeah, that'd be good. And then maybe come back and I just want to do a little bit on the certainties in science. So just a little bit of a review on that, so that when we're all chatting with the shills and they state things of such certainty, maybe they need to do a little bit of research themselves. So I thought that'd be an interesting thing just to have a little look at in respect to the phase of light and the speed of light and gravity.
Excellent. That sounds like a heap of fun.
Geek.
All right, sweet. Then I will find that Leisure Sweet Larry. Leisure Sweet, not to be confused with Leisure Suit Larry. Just wanted to make that clear.
Thanks. That's the only one I know. Leisure Suit Larry. And the Land of the Lounge Lizards.
while you're looking for that, if you're taking your time looking for that, I wanted to say that if there's anyone out there from the UK convention, that please get in touch with Lydia, the pilot, and she's dying to get Flat Earth out there, and I think having a pilot at the convention in the UK would be an absolute stonker.
Stonker indeed.
Sorry, does that mean something else in your vernacular?
I believe it means fuck all in my vernacular.
Okay, that's good. All right. Lydia. Lydia the pilot. Lydia or something or other from Norway. Or do you know what I'm talking about?
I think maybe I do. Is this the one that got grounded recently?
That's right. That's right.
And then you finally just say, F it, I'm done. I'm leaving. And then quit.
That's it.
No,
and
I don't know what you're
and
talking about.
she's decided to give up flying and promote Flat Earth until she dies. So I think if anyone should be at a Flat Earth convention in the UK, it should be Lydia. Just thought I'd put that out there.
Well, I wonder what Lydia is doing from like 10 in the morning till around noon over there in the UK, just out of curiosity. If she really wants some Flat Earth truth, I happen to know a channel right there on Truth Frequency Radio. You can find them on tfrlive.com. That's the Ironworks that can be heard from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, which is actually 10 a.m. to noon Greenwich Mean Time, which is why I think it might work just perfectly for Lydia.
Absolutely. Well, there you go. I think either Lydia get in touch with us, or we'll get in touch with you. But Lydia has committed herself to getting this information out there. She's no longer flying. She's now quite happy just to get this information out there. And what better than coming from I think she's 737, 25 years of flying experience as a co-pilot on the 737.
That's a lot of time.
For a very prestigious European carrier. I won't mention the name.
Sweet. Well, then why don't we take 5? We've managed to lose.
You queued it up?
In Walt. I've got it queued up. It is, if you want to watch, I always forget to screen share. You need to remind me. Hey, dumbass. You know, you're not showing us. Everybody on YouTube sees it. You don't see anything.
Share the hangout, mate.
Good idea.
Cool.
Let me see if I can. Here we go. Although it's small for you, I think it helps me with my buffering.
That works.
But now you can see it.
That's fine. We can see it.
Spoken word. I mean, it's how much of it's really going to be in the visuals? Probably a whole lot because it's on YouTube.
Leisure Suite, Larry, the Bilderberg Group, 9/11 Truth.
Get ready. Hi. Yes, kite. Get ready. Yes. Yes, hit. Get ready. Deal. Yes, deal. Get ready. Rain. Yes, rain. Get ready. Must. Yes, must.
What if I purchased a building that's blight was quite relentless? Its surface needed rebuilding, it was built and filled with asbestos. A business death sentence by all manner of measure. A plan as clandestine as harp hammers the weather. Now imagine my bread serves only half the value set, yet the initial investor gladly accepts so much less you're impressed, blessed by my persuasion. Would you rightfully address the left feeling put in place and find finally question the rat race when again I finish first. Am I really that amazing, or is a map at work? Regardless of land worth, to fix the grit the cost is like a man with broken hands giving birth upon the cross. Nothing but a loss with no clear way to profit, and I would surely come across as one hell of a prophet if I saw this comet and with it sold you God. You'd call me Muhammad even if my name's Messiah.
Get ready. Yes, tight. Get ready. Yes, get ready. Seal. Yes, dear. Ready. Yes, ain't get ready. Yes, must. Get ready. Yes, tight. Get ready. Yes, get ready. Seal. Yes, dear. Ready. Yes, ain't get ready. Yes, must.
So now imagine the building's mine, although most would say it's stupid, and Scrooge's lucky dime couldn't pay me to improve it. I keep making bad excuses like I know something big is coming. I refuse to be translucent, yet the meter's left still running. The structures seem crumbling. There's poison paint inside. My actions become so cunning, I'm fumbling my lies. But to everyone's surprise, everything is kosher. There's nothing to deny since I know there's no foreclosure. The banks are like the snowblower, and I am Pimpin' Frosty. I am their employer who cares what lives it costs me. Now let's just say it all seems like it's set up for a fire. I ensure all of the small things the law says are required. But like I've been inspired by Gee Whiz himself, my burning desire quadruples my wealth. Now the scrupulous self would then point out it's suspicious how a random fire dealt the money cards upon my wish list.
Get ready. Yes, tight. Get ready. Yes, get ready. Seal. Yes, dear. Ready. Yes, ain't get ready. Yes, must. Get ready. Yes, tight. Get ready. Yes, get ready. Seal. Yes, dear. Ready. Yes, ain't get ready. Yes, must.
So would I go to jail like most dumb goyim would? Or would my holy grail make Monty Python good? Wholesome fun that should be heard in every church. Would I be misunderstood, my character besmirched? Would girls admit its girth and no longer lie to you? I know I went off course a squirt, but my goal is spreading truth. Do you think the mounds of proof, the charades a giant fraud, would jump into the mental loop as quickly as your silent broads now trying not to nod at the part about small dicks? Her mind's like, oh my god, why won't he just switch back subjects really quick? What was he just saying? 3 skyscrapers don't just dip when hit by 2 jet planes? It's actually quite strange, since I planned on painting a picture to properly reframe the hand of the ultimate fister. Ramming the shit you're fed is official. My bloodline is piss poor. Do I get Larry's dismissal?
Yes, dear. Ready. Yes, ain't get ready. Yes, must. Get ready. Yes, tight. Get ready. Yes, get ready. Seal. Yes, dear. Ready. Yes, ain't get ready. Yes, must.
Imagine rumor had it I was touching kids. How long before the badges would come kicking in my lid? What kind of holy magic would excuse the things I did or the emails that I blasted with code words known to fibs? Would you look at all my static and just as quick forgive if I proudly wasn't Catholic or some other silly rib? Would you finally call it tragic if I didn't conveniently live in a city where the standards say the guilty should be hid? Those voted into cabinets more than like to slip their bone that's beyond plastic, fleshy colored stick. While it always rains on Travis, the umbrella's grip comes only in left-handed. The right is turning tricks. Their methods considered classic, but the internet still lifts their outreach to the planet. It's all in the documents. For if this leaves you feeling static, it's because you must admit kids are like a powerful magnet, attractive only to the sick. Comment. You'll make your children scream. Comment. Don't buy that ping pong thing. Comment. You'll gag and vomit. So go to comment and stomp it today. But back to the top. To the question I asked, would death by cop touch someone half black? As quick as the kettle drops, the card when called that? Burning the crops while destroying the facts? Would metaphors prop up pics of the past, showing the lopsided love of first class? The government mop that cleans up when the glass of milk finally flops, and though only filled halfway, it's a chop to the back of the calf that hops the hop for those who laugh last. Connecting the dots, would you actually ask, why do Jaegers say gots when they're supposed to say has? Who's tying the knots? What's holding us back? How come the have-nots seem to have Heather Flack? If my wings call the shots, it's time turtles attack. Where do shredders stop when the pizza's a trap? Comment. Will make your children scream. Comment. Don't buy that ping pong thing. Comment. You'll gag and vomit. So go to comment and stomp it today. Why aren't we required to research a crime when those who conspired are pros in the lime? Light and their tires all covered in grime are clean then admired once there's been enough time for the best Jewish writers to deliver a dime. Then the blame goes to fires or maybe pipelines. Or disease your desire is played by the 9 or 10 o'clock liars working for fines. Reading the wire, they lurk in the pines, the hurts undercover but see between lines. Podesta and brother have the Clintons behind. They're no curse after mother, it's children they find, who's bred to be wonder, whose blood tastes like wine. Let no man put asunder, try to redefine my word coming under these damaging rhymes. And since lightning and thunder are nothing divine, comet can't plunder when the stars aren't aligned. Comet will make your children scream. Comet. Don't buy that ping pong thing. Comment. You'll gag and vomit. So go to comment and stomp it today. If you think Pizzagate is just another scandal, look up Ted Gunderson. Former FBI chief Ted Gunderson. Look up the Franklin cover-up, the 80s version of Pizzagate. Because with everything that's happening all over this planet, chemtrails, GMOs, all that stuff, what's happening to the children behind closed doors, from people that are sworn to protect them, from people that we're supposed to hold at a higher standard than anybody else. If you can just overlook that and continue believing what you believe and giving your 10%, maybe you're the problem.
Yeah, maybe you're the problem.
Powerful stuff, eh?
Yeah, I just had to go a second one. I mean, he's got so he's like everywhere, all over the place. But
I was
yeah,
there was a point in the chat there I thought he was going to get into.
Sorry.
The paedophile stuff, and we moved on, but that's probably something worth debating, chatting about next time. So I'm glad to see you put that one up, Josh. That's interesting to see it's covering.
It's definitely a taboo subject, don't you think, Adam?
I think it's a subject people are scared of talking about, and the reality of what's suggested is so extreme in cases. It's a lot more extreme than believing the Earth's flat. When you listen to a lot of the stuff that's gone off on many levels, you know, from Pizzagate, but down the chain as well.
Well, this was something I was heavily into before Flat Earth, and you know, I was sort of accused of ignoring this sort of stuff in favor of Flat Earth, but in reality, if you can understand Flat Earth and what has happened to you, then all of this becomes obvious. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it all fits in, doesn't it, to a bigger picture? They're all parts of an illusion, and they're all parts of a control system. So moving that on then, I'll come on to the other parts. There was a bit I wanted to do and just mention is this week Alba did his own cast. So I wanted to give a shout out to Alba.
Yep, shout out Alba, who's in the chat, or was.
Yeah. And I think he's going tomorrow night as well, so I'm going to pop on and have a chat with him as well. So I just thought I'd give him a bit of a shout out.
What time's that? GMT.
I think he's saying sort of 10, 11 o'clock-ish, something like that. It's going to be round about 11 before I can get there anyway. Do you know what I mean? Saturday night tea, mate, you know. So
yeah, I'll be up for that as well if wants to bung me a link.
I'm sure. Yeah, there you go, double the fun. So maybe both of us then. Albert, give us a shout if you're still in chat, mate, and that. But so we started this week. I've only caught a bit of it, but it was quite. He got joined by our friend Brenda.
Yeah,
so
last week's prevalence.
A week before, a couple of weeks before, wasn't it? Brenda was the one that was going to describe curvature to us and show us, demonstrate
undeniable proof. That was it.
That was it.
Yeah. It was good. I think Albert is hugely brave for putting himself out there and exposing himself to that audience. Well done to you, mate.
From what I can tell, there was quite a number of shills jumped on him and joined in and stuff. But there appeared to be, and excuse my ignorance here, the guy from Flat Earth Court joined in and gave him a bit of support. Like I said, I've not had a chance to view it all, but that seemed to be the gist of what I could gather what's gone off.
Likewise.
Anyway, Josh, can we have we got the number 2 vid there?
You're damn right, we've got one.
Angles that?
Not number 2 exactly, but I can find it. I can certainly pull the number 2 vid up.
There we go. So all I've got here is it's something that popped up in my YouTube suggested list, and it's something that was listed probably 4 or more months ago by Tesla's Apple, as you can see there. I'm not sure of the date, but it's a much older video from Rupert Sheldrake, who's quite the intellectual, and he's doing one of these TED Talks, and apparently this thing's sort of banned. I reckon if you get to about 10.5 minutes, it's probably about the best. Yeah, somewhere. Apparently it's banned or hard to find now, and it's there's a certain line as the titles there, as you can see, intellectual phase locking, which he covers, which I think's probably quite poignant and describes the reality of where we're at now. I think it's about 20 minutes long. It's probably worth watching the whole thing because he does go through at the beginning, as it says there, the dogmas of modern science. I think it's 11 or so, something like that. And it's interesting the ones he goes through. And this is presented credibly and received very well, actually, by the audience.
I was going to say the video that I know of this guy was disputing the gravitational constant with some authority. But if we're going to play 20 minutes, then I'm going to bid farewell. And
no, it's about 3 minutes. The whole video is about 20 minutes long. The bit I just wanted to say is what he, as he gets to later on, he refers to constants and he refers to the speed of light and big G, and it's as I would say, it's quite interesting because there is no opposition, I don't think, to what he states.
No, there isn't. No, you're right. Which is why it's probably banned.
Yeah, exactly. It seems fair, valid, scientific. Yeah.
But they're the only place I could find that kept the old volumes. Normally people throw them away when the new values come out. They throw away the old ones. When I did this, I found that the speed of light dropped between 1928 and 1945 by about 20 kilometers per second. It's a huge drop because they're given with errors of only fractions of decimal points of error. And yet, all over the world, it dropped, and they were all getting values very similar to each other with tiny errors. Then in 1945, it went up at 48, it went up again. And then people started getting very similar values again. I was very intrigued by this, and I couldn't make sense of it. So I went to see the head of metrology at the National Physical Laboratory in Teddington. Metrology is the science in which people measure constants. And I asked him about this. I said, what do you make of this drop in the speed of light between 1928 and 1945? And he said, oh dear, he said, you've uncovered the most embarrassing episode in the history of our science. So I said, well, could the speed of light have actually dropped? And that would have amazing implications if so. He said, no, of course it couldn't have actually dropped. It's a constant. So, well then how do you explain the fact everyone was finding it going much slower during that period? Is it because they were fudging their results to get what they thought other people should be getting, and the whole thing was just produced in the minds of physicists? We don't like to use the word fudge. I said, well, what do you prefer? He said, well, we prefer to call it intellectual phase locking. So I said, well, if it was going on then, how can we be so sure it's not going on today? And that the present values are produced by intellectual phase locking. And he said, oh, we know that's not the case. I said, how do we know? He said, we've solved the problem. And I said, well, how? He said, well, we fixed the speed of light by definition in 1972. So I said, but it might still change. He said, yes, but we'd never know it because we've defined the meter in terms of the speed of light. So the units had changed with it. So he looked very pleased about that. They'd fixed that problem.
Science.
But I said, well, then what about big G, the gravitational?
Uh-oh. They're saying, hey, you guys shouldn't be watching this. Sorry, we're going to let it buffer for just half a tick.
It's quite appalling, though, isn't it? What are your thoughts on this, Adam?
Well, I think Rupert sums it up perfectly, doesn't he? And that's the point I want to say, that there is no constants. Look at what we're seeing there. We're seeing collusion, and it's on a small scale there, but on such a significant thing that, are we saying that all the laws we known and all reality changed during those years, or the measurements were wrong, or they're right now? But as you can see, look, and the point he alludes to at the end with laughter, but actually, if you think about the significance of it, they've sewn the bag up, haven't they? What he's actually saying there is that the places where the standard scientists would maybe sometimes see the common error, and it's now been snuffled away as well, so that's hidden.
What it's saying to me is that you cannot trust man, which is exactly the conclusion I've come to after discovering and the realization of flat Earth. You can't trust man. They will fudge, fuck, fake anything they can.
Intellectually phase lock anything they can is the
Sure. Call it what you want.
But that again was the pertinent point, that actually that's an academic actually saying no. We prefer to call it this. It's an admission at academic level that actually not all is necessarily.
It's an academic whose talk has since been banned by TED TV. Why would this talk be banned by anyone? Why would anyone's talk be banned by anyone unless inciting violence and yada yada yada?
Well, I think for the answer to that, I'd go for the reasons, the dogmas of modern science. I think that's the thing that's worth listening to if you want to know why it's banned, because it does.
But dogma obviously is no reason to ban anything, is it? I mean, if someone doesn't agree with this, then under the scientific method, someone should be able to prove that this guy's talking shit.
And I think that's the point he makes eloquently with all the dogmas he lists, that these points aren't provable.
Well, let's play it. Have we buffered enough? Josh?
G is written with a capital G, Newton's universal gravitational constant. That's varied by more than 1.3% in recent years. And it seems to vary from place to place and from time to time. And he said, oh, well, those are just errors. And unfortunately, there are quite big errors with big G. So I said, well, what if it's really changing? I mean, perhaps it is really changing. And then I looked at how they do it. What happens is they measure it in different labs. They get different values on different days, and then they average them. And then other labs around the world do the same. And they come out usually with a rather different average. And then the International Committee on Metrology meets every 10 years or so and average the ones from labs around the world to come up with the value of big G. But what if G were actually fluctuating? What if it changed? There's already evidence, actually, that it changes throughout the day and throughout the year. What if the Earth, as it moves through the galactic environment, went through patches of dark matter or other environmental factors that could alter it? Maybe they all change together. What if these errors are going up together and down together? For more than 10 years, I've been trying to persuade metrologists to look at the raw data. In fact, I'm now trying to persuade them to put it online on the internet with the dates and the actual measurements and see if they're correlated, to see if they're all up at one time, all down at another. If so, they might be fluctuating together, and that would tell us something very, very interesting. But no one has done this. They haven't done it because G is a constant. There's no point looking for changes. You see, here's a very simple example of where a dogmatic assumption actually inhibits inquiry. I myself think that the constants may vary quite considerably, well, within narrow limits, but they may all be varying. And I think the day will come when scientific journals like Nature have a weekly report on the constants, like stock market reports in newspapers. You know, this week, big G was slightly up, the charge on the electron was down, the speed of light held steady, and so on. That's one area, just one area where I think thinking less dogmatically could open things up. One of the biggest areas is the nature of the mind. This is the most unsolved problem, as Graham just said, that science simply can't deal with the fact we're conscious. And it can't deal with the fact that our thoughts don't seem to be inside our brains. Our experiences don't all seem to be inside our brain. Your image of me now doesn't seem to be inside your brain, yet the official view is there's a little Rupert somewhere inside your head, and everything else in this room is inside your head. Your experience is inside your brain. I'm suggesting actually that vision involves an outward projection of images. What you're seeing is in your mind, but not inside your head. Our minds are extended beyond our brains in the simplest act of perception. I think that we project out the images we're seeing, and these images touch what we're looking at. If I look at you from behind, you don't know I'm there. Could I affect you? Could you feel my gaze? There's a great deal of evidence that people can. The sense of being stared at is an extremely common experience, and recent experimental research suggests it's real. Animals seem to have it too. I think it probably evolved in the context of predator-prey relationships. Prey animals that could feel the gaze of a predator would survive better than those that couldn't. This would lead to a whole new way of thinking about ecological relationships between predators and prey, also about the extent of our minds. If we look at distant stars, I think our minds reach out in a sense to touch those stars and literally extend out over astronomical distances. They're not just inside our heads. Now, it may seem astonishing that this is a topic of debate in the 21st century. We know so little about our own minds that where our images are is a hot topic of debate within consciousness studies right now. I don't have time to deal with any more of these dogmas, but every single one of them is questionable. If one questions it, new forms of research, new possibilities open up. And I think as we question these dogmas that have held back science so long, science will undergo a reflowering, a renaissance. I'm a total believer in the importance of science. I've spent my whole life as a research scientist, my whole career. But I think by moving beyond these dogmas, it can be regenerated. Once again, it can become interesting and, I hope, life-affirming. Thank you.
A little off track at the end there, I thought, but again, you know, with the big G proof as well as the speed of light, again, a kind of clear definition that it's not a constant. And if it's not a constant, which one does the maths take? And this isn't just, it's not a constant around the world, because we could suggest that there would be difference if it's an oblate spheroid. They're saying that there's variance, as he said, throughout the day and also throughout the years. So as the Earth putting weight on or losing weight, you know what I mean?
That's what I picked up on, Adam, is the changes in gravity between the day and night, and that would make absolute sense. I mean, this is something that needs to be tested, but it makes absolute sense that if what we call gravity is density, due to air pressure and weight and those sort of factors, that these sort of things would change between the day and the night, quite obviously, and this is something that should be able to be measured. Do you think?
I think it seems, I would suggest it's probably a bit more, that it's probably links to what we was talking about in terms of an electromagnetic effect, and as Bob's ring lasers detected this repeating pattern, that might be suggesting more of a causative effect of necessarily temperatures and stuff, that actually the up-down definition that the electromagnetics cause is increased or decreased as this pattern pulses. So you may be seeing the effects of the waves, the wave pattern of the electromagnetic pulse that magnifies the effect of the gravity, shall we say? Do you know what I mean? Or the down force.
Yeah, interesting stuff. On that note, I'm going to have to do a runner, I'm afraid. It's knocking on the half one here.
Dude.
I think it's a terrific place to end. I'm looking at all these other links that we had ready for show prep, and we're going to have to get to some of these next week anyway. So
yeah, especially just that LIGO one.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
They're getting extremely desperate with what is it? The ESO scientists unveil an unprecedented announcement. For the first time, astronomers have observed both gravitational waves and light from the same place. Yeah, okay. Anyway, thank you very much. Been a pleasure, and I'll speak to you soon.
Before you go, John, I want to know, how much time are you going to dedicate to the ballers are going to be attacking you on Twitter with this information, trying to prove gravity because LIGO's seen it, the waves with the light from the same source?
Well,
how much time are you going to?
Very little, as I tend to spend most of my time on zetetic evidence. Something that I can test myself or see or observe or feel or anything along those lines. So when they start talking gravitational waves and horse shit, then it falls on deaf ears on my timeline.
I was just being cute to point out the fact that people will actually use this article now as proof of gravity.
Oh yeah, they already have.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Look, it's true. It says it here. There you go.
So here's something. I'm kind of a stoner, so I'm going to break something here. I don't know, probably not breaking. I think this may is. I don't think it's necessarily news. I think it's this Sunday because Billy Ray's at his new time. It's 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific, which makes it 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Central. Okay. That makes it.
What's that GMT?
Yeah, we need GMT, mate.
I'm working on it. Now you've ruined my train of thought.
There ain't GMT, we don't know.
It's 8 p.m. I'm pretty good. That'd be 8 p.m. Thank you very much.
That's a good time for me.
I think we're going to have Crow 777 on this Sunday on the Infinite Fringe.
Really?
On Truthseeker Radio. I believe so. If it's not this week, it's soon. And if it's not Truth Frequency Radio, it's Podbean. So at the very least, I know that Billy Ray Valentine, Ben Hamid, and myself will be interviewing Crow 777 here before too long.
Are you talking 0800 or 2000?
Nope, I believe it's 2000. I believe.
Oh, right.
Yes,
well, if that's the case, give me a heads up.
Sure. You can find that at gfrlive.com or iHeartRadio.com. Anywhere
Lovely.
Truth Frequency. I'm just giving you trouble. Quick plug. Yeah, I'll bung you a link.
Yeah, I can do 2000 GMT. Absolutely, and especially for Crow.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm super excited. Is there anything in particular you want me to ask him? Provided this is the stars align, so to speak, and this is the right time and the right day, because I'm a bit of a stoner. I forget things. I
There's plenty I want to ask him. Drop me a link.
Yeah, I'll send you a few questions as well, Josh, mate, for him. It's so Billy Ray's going up against Globebusters then, by the sounds of that, Josh.
Is that it? Oh, snap.
Yes.
I'm going to point it out to him. I am going to tell him, I guess he is, yeah. Going to go up against Jaron. Yeah. Jaron is Monday Night Raw on Truth Frequency Radio, is on Globebusters at that same time on the Globebusters channel on YouTube. Surely enough. Wonder if Bob's in chat. No, probably not. No such luck. No, Alba. I see Alba.
I always catch Jaron on replay anyway, so.
Ow.
There's not enough hours in a day to watch everything live. It's just crazy.
There's not. And I wish there were more hours in the day. My life would be so much easier. And I would probably spend them sleeping, but I do so enjoy the time I spend awake. So that being said, don't forget to find the Ironworks on Truth Frequency Radio at tfrlive.com and iHeartRadio.com, where Walt and I will try to sharpen and mold and bend and fold topics of today. We'll be going over headlines. We'll be having guests. Matter of fact, we were on this morning. We had Justin Harvey from We Are Change, someone whom we've had on this very show some time ago, actually. It's been quite a while. He went underground there for a bit, but he's resurfaced and we had him on. So go check us out in the show archives. And I highly suggest signing up for the show live chat. That way, when you are listening to the Ironworks, or if you happen to be listening to Mark Sargent or Jaron, or geez, who else is on there? Sean Carone's on there.
Rob
Skeeb is on. Yeah. And Zen Garcia, he's also on there. I mean, if it's the who's who. Kev Baker is huge. Yeah, Kev Baker's freaking everywhere. But yeah, I suggest signing up for the live chat. That way you can get on there, and if you have questions, you can just pop them right in there, and either we will see them, or Crow will see them, or someone will see them, and we'll be able to relate all that information. Or if you're catching out the Ironworks, you can just hop on and make fun of us and call us names. That's fine too. That being said, this has been Iron Realm Media's Flat Earth Friday FRINGE-CAST. My name is Josh Corey. You are still joined with John and Adam. Gentlemen, have a great night. Sleep well. I know it's late there. And thanks for hanging around for as long as you did.
Take it easy,
good
Josh.
fun tonight.
All right, you too.
God bless, guys. Take care. Good.
All right. Love you guys.
Good
Be
chat.
well.
Catch up next week.
All right.
God
Toodles.
bless.
God bless. Bye-bye.